So breakfast over, everyone? Sure? So comfortably. So you don't need break now. In between. 15-20 minutes break, huh? Okay. You don't want? I will be taking. Okay. Chalo. So yesterday up to I think 9 standards of 500 series we are done with, right? We're left with one more standard called 540, which is nothing but accounting estimates. उसको बाद में देखेंगे, पहले 600 series को wind up करते हैं, and then 400 series as well. ठीक है? क्योंकि 600 series में only 3 standards, 400 में 2 standards, so at least it will be like 4, 5, 6 and 7 total series will be over. उसके बाद we'll see the sequence of the chapters which we need to cover at the later stage. So let us first start with the 600, everyone. What is 600? Using the work of another auditor, right? And then what is 610, everyone? Using the work of internal auditor. And what is the 62? Using the work of an auditor's expert, right? Now you have to understand one thing very carefully about this series. This series is completely a recommendatory series, right? Means here the complete choice will be made by the statutory auditor. Ki, do I want to use the work of another auditor or not? Do I want to use the work of internal auditor or not? So it's completely the blame game. Like in case something goes wrong, say for example, internal auditor's work went wrong or another auditor's work went wrong, everything will be the blame will be coming on the shoulders of whom? Statutory auditor. So first understand what is happening in 600. 600 mein principal auditor is using the work of what? Component auditor. Say for example, you are a holding company, parent company auditor, but unfortunately you are not the auditor of what? Child companies, or you are not the auditor of the subsidiaries, joint ventures. So principal auditor thought of making the use of the work of which auditor? Another auditors of the joint share associates and what? Subsidiaries. That is what 600. 610 covers what? Using the work of which auditor? Internal. So who is using whose work? External auditor is using the work of internal auditor. As simple as that, right? Then third one is what? Using the work of auditor's expert. Now there what is happening? Sometimes you are doing the audit of the areas which are completely out of your reach or out of the box. In such cases, what will happen? You definitely need an expertise advice. So in such case, you can bring your own expert. But the thin line of difference is, it is whose expert? Auditor's expert, not the management's expert. So you have to understand one fact that after reading the question, do I need to quote SA 500 or do I need to quote SA 620? Because say for example, if you are using the work of, let's say for example, company has done the valuation of the fixed assets. Am I correct? So for the valuation of the fixed asset, they hired a registered valuer. Now that registered valuer is hired by the company. And you are telling to the company, show me the reports of your registered valuer. Now tell me what you will quote. You are using the work of an expert, but is it your expert or company's expert? So you will quote 500. It's an evidence. But in case you are bringing your own registered valuer to do the revaluation again and to understand whether the revaluation carried out by the company is genuine or not, now tell me it is what? 620. So you have to understand that it's not the expert's work you are using that will help you in quoting 620. Which expert's work you are using, that you have to understand. So thin line of bifurcation you should know in the examination. Just looking at the expert, don't quote 620. See that it is whose expert, whose work you are using. Accordingly, your answer will be 620 or 500. Is it clear, everyone? Now let's understand first the 600 using the work of which auditor? Another auditor. Now see, it's a very simple thing. We are here in the whole concept, we are going to use the word called PA and CA. What is PA and CA? PA stands for principal auditor and CA stands for what? Component auditor. Okay? Now, what SA 600 series, 600 SA does not cover? Remember one thing, it covers holding company using the work of what? Subsidiary or associates work. Am I correct? Principal using the work of component. What if the one joint auditor using the work of another joint auditor's work? That is covered in 299. Are you understanding the point? One auditor, another auditor does not mean any auditor. Principal using the work of component is covered under what? 600. One joint auditor using the work of another joint auditor is not covered under 600. It is covered at where? 299. Okay, external using the work of internal? 610 में covered है. User entity use auditor using the work of service organization auditor is covered under 402. Are you getting the point? And one more point. If you are using the work of what do you say this 299 example 402 610 and current year auditor using the work of what? Preceding year auditor's work, that is covered in 510 and 710. So remember, it's not that auditor using the work of another auditor. It's the principal auditor using the work of which auditor? Component auditor, which is covered in 600. Is it clear? So what are the four things which 600 does not cover? Tell me. Joint using the work of another joint. Next one. External using the work of internal. Next one. User entity auditor using the work of service organization. And what is the last one? Current year auditor using the work of what? Previous year. All these are not covered under what? 600. Is it clear, everyone? Okay, now let's understand. First, PA shall try to ensure that his own participation is enough or not. Consider for the following points. Remember, using the work of another auditor should be again your last resort, like WRL. Yesterday I told you the meaning of WRL. What is WRL? What did I tell you? It should be a first option or last option. If as a principal auditor you think that you don't need the work of the which auditor? Not internal. Don't need the work of component auditor, then don't use it. Use it only when there is a requirement. Just because there is a component auditor, don't make it obligatory on you that I have to use it. If you want to use it, then use it. If you need to use it, then use it. But don't use it just because there is a component auditor. So first see whether you are capable enough to do the things on your own or not. If you think that you are not capable, then make the use of what? 600, another component auditor, right? Now, for the areas covered by the PA, materiality of the portion of the financial statement has to be checked. Areas covered by another auditor, ROMUM involved in what? Components. Let's say, for example, I am a parent auditor. See, always remember, being a parent auditor, you have a responsibility of CFS audit also. What is CFS? Consolidated financial statement. But unfortunately, you are not the auditor of the components now. So if you think that some of the components may ROMUM level is very high. What is ROMUM? And you are not the auditor of that component. So definitely you have to make the use of the which work? Component auditor's work. So read the factor number 1, which will push you to use the work. ROMUM is very high. What is the factor number 2? PA's degree of what? Knowledge regarding the component. If though you have A to Z full knowledge of the component, then there is no requirement of using the work of which auditor? Component auditor. But if you have a partial knowledge, then definitely on partial knowledge basis only, you can't do the complete audit. Then make the use of the which auditor? Component auditor. What is the third factor? Whether PA is of the opinion that additional procedure as per 600 on the component auditor required or not. If you think that components work is not at all even a 1% of your total audit, don't use it. If you think that that component is a major contributory in the whole consolidated way, then make the use of the work of what? Component auditor. So tell me the 3 factors which is helping you in deciding should I use the work or not. Tell me the 3 factors. First one, component auditor is a major contributory or not. Second thing, component auditor's ROMUM is lower or higher. And what is the third one? Auditor is having the knowledge or not having the knowledge? Not having the knowledge of the complete group of companies. The first thing to starting point is this. Decide to use or not to use. Second thing. Now see. PA is normally required to rely and use the work of component auditor and reports made by component auditor. But if there is an unusual fraud at the branch or component level, then the PA shall examine the books of accounts and other records and visit the branch and subsidiary. Till the time you don't have a suspicion, you can as it is use the work of what? Component auditor, because it is very much clearly said in 600 कि principal auditor should not doubt the competency of the which auditor? Competent auditor, if the competent auditor is a member of ICA. It's a very simple thing. CA should not downgrade the efficiency of what? Another CA. If you feel like that, then don't do it. Because if other than council member, if other than ICA member the competent auditor is, you can definitely check his qualification and definitely check his COP. but not allowed to challenge the competency of the component auditor if that component auditor is a part of what? IC. Are you getting the point? So C, unless you don't have any kind of unusual fraud you came to know, or unless you don't have any knowledge of ROMM in the branch level, never challenge the competency of the which auditor? Component auditor. Second thing, most important factors which affects the PA's procedure are, point number one, just now I told you, कि when you can challenge the competency of the component auditor. Tell me one thing. If this question comes in the examination, then this is the answer you have to write. Read the point number one. Qualification and competence of the component auditor. He shall evaluate the qualification and competence of the component auditor if it is it appropriate for the assignment, but not required if he or she is a what? Chartered accountant. इसका मतलब what they are trying to tell that if he or she is a chartered accountant, what is the other way around? What is the other side of the coin? Okay, if he or she is not a, you are allowed to challenge QNC or not allowed? Allowed. Simple, keep one thing in mind. The other person is CA, don't challenge. If the other person is other than what? CA, you can challenge the qualification and competence. Is it clear? Next one. Procedure the principal auditor shall apply before using the component auditor's work. First one, collect SAAE that the work of the CA is adequate and he can what? Rely. Dekho sir, at the end of the day, try understand. You are bringing 315 in here. What is 315? Simple ji baat hai, you are using the work of what? Someone who is not a part of your team. It means if that someone's work is not efficient enough, ultimately you will be the blame taker. Because who made the choice of using the work of component auditor? Somebody forced you or you took a voluntary action? So if that person's work is not really good, make sure that you are the blame taker. So better that prevention is better than cure. Collect SAAE on component auditor's work. What is SAE? Sufficient and appropriate audit evidence to support the work used from the which auditor? Component auditor. Second thing, PA is supposed to inform following things. What are the things I'm going to inform to the component auditor? Point number one, what work I want from you and what kind of report I want from you. Who is telling this to whom? Principal auditor is simply telling two things to the which auditor? Component auditor. By this is the work I'm looking for using from you and this is the report I'm looking to use from you. Inform special considerations to be applied by what? CA. If you have some special instructions to be given to the which auditor? Component auditor, you can tell him your APs. What is APs? Audit procedure. See boss, I do it in this way. If you can do it in this way, that is well and good. Otherwise, you please tell me if you can't follow my special instruction. Who is asking this to whom? Principal auditor to the component auditor. So what are the three things I'm basically telling to him? What area of the work I'm looking your work for? Second thing, what are the portion of the reports I'm looking for from you? And what is the third one? These are the special instructions you need to follow, right? Next point, make sufficient arrangements of cooperation among themselves at the which stage only? Planning. In the beginning only tell him, do one thing boss, weekly once or twice we'll meet and I will take the info from you. Don't suddenly tell him, because suddenly he's also busy. So at the planning stage only, better cooperation, better coordination and better communication should take place between the principal auditor and what? Component auditor. Next, you can also tell him procedures which the component auditor should perform to ensure inter-component transaction timetable for the completion of audit. And do let him know the time framework within which you need his work. Don't tell him that I need your work. Tell him that I need your work in 1 month. Did you understand the difference between the two sentences? What does that mean? If you will simply tell him I need your work, he may take 6 months also to provide his work. But tell him that I need your work in bloody how many months? 1 month. So all these conversation at the planning stage only you should have between both of you. What are the 5 conversations you should have? Part of the work I'm looking for, part of the report I'm looking for, special procedures, better cooperation at the planning stage, and one point is what? This is the time limit within which you have to complete and give me the work. And finally, shall obtain WRL from the component auditor regarding the significant requirements like CARO, tax audit report with respect to compliance and all. Dekho boss, I know even I will do one public limited company's audit, I definitely have to do CARO. I'm also a tax auditor, I'll definitely do 3CA, 3CD. but I don't know about the component auditor. Is he know about, maybe he is doing the audit as per CARO 2016. Now which CARO is going on? So do one thing, you can't verify each and everything what the component auditor has done. Simply take WRL from the component auditor. Again, what is WRL? Simply tell him, give me the WRL, what I'm expecting from you, you have done that. Caro, I'm expecting you have done that or not. He said done that. Okay, write it. You have done that, Caro. Tax audit you have done properly or not. I have done that. Write it. You have done that or not. All the legal requirements which you are expecting from the which auditor? Component auditor. Take a WRL from him in what? Writing. Keep it in your what? Documentation. So that at the later stage, if anyone is putting you under the charges of gross negligence, you will be able to defend yourself. Boss, I to did the needful thing. I told that component auditor to give me what? WRL. Tell me the 6 things now you are doing at the planning stage. What work? What part of the report where I will be using his work? Special instructions, time limit, cooperation, communication at the planning stage, and WRL. I assume that you know Caro, you know tax audit, you know the amendments, you know the revisions, you know the notification. Because you are also a CA, so I expect that if I am updated, you should also be what? Updated. Simple understanding. What is the next thing? Additional procedure that may be applied. Discuss the additional procedures applied by the component auditor. Review written summary of the component auditor procedures and findings. Review findings of the completed questionnaire and checklist, and visit what? Component auditor. These are the 4 things you can do. Are you getting the point? See, it's simply called DRS. What is DRS? Direction, review, supervision. Simple. Don't leave the 100% work on his shoulder, but he's going to give it to you. If you think that there is some little bit of doubt you are getting, visit him. If you think that his findings might not be appropriate, evaluate them, check them before making the use of it. Because once the damage is done, then you can't put the blame on the shoulders of what? Component auditor. Because you have made a choice to use his what? Work. So what are the 4 things you should do? Discuss the audit procedures with him, what he has applied, his RAPs and his FAPs. Second, review the written summary. What RAPs and FAPs you have used? Show me. Okay, you have done TOC here, TOD here, and TOT and TOT here. Next one, review his what? Findings. Now the question is, how we can review the findings? Directly, though you can't ask someone, okay, what you will do if you are in this situation. Simple, do one thing. How peer reviewer checks your number of clients and assignments? By giving you ACQ. What is ACQ? Questionnaire, na? Here also, one CA should give the what? Questionnaire to the another CA. And I will tell her, okay, Amma, give me the reply within evening. So from her replies only, I'll come to know that whether his point of approach or his professional judgment or her professional judgment is matching with mine or not. Wavelength is matching or not. Because directly you will not know, acha, when did you qualify? You can't ask this. When did you qualify? How many marks you got? Are you a COP holder or not? What you will do in this case? Because she will feel insulted in that case. Better that you should communicate not face to face. Via what? Questionnaire. So check her questionnaires on completed. And if you want, things are going little bit out of control, then better to do what? Visit the component auditor. Application of the above procedure depends upon the circumstances of engagement and professional competence of the component auditor. But if you very well know that she is a 25 years old experienced chartered accountant, now please tell me now, is there any requirement of any of the above things? Required or not required? Not required. So that is what this point comes. Read this point again. Application of the above procedure depends upon the circumstances of engagement and professional competence of the which auditor? Competent auditor. PA may not apply above if he thinks that his SAE, that CA is a competent and has good control procedure and policies for what? Doing audit. Let's say for example, few years back, I had a work with her and I know her QCPPs. What is QCPPs? Quality control in policies and procedure. I know her way of doing the work. I know that how competent, efficient she is. You need not do any of the above 4 things. Neither you have to send any questionnaire, nor visit, nor discuss any AP, because you have a confidence that she can manage the thing and she should have done or must have done the work properly. Blindly you can use it. Next one, significant findings. PA shall consider the significant findings of the what? Component auditor. Say for example, when I took her work in the Caro, she had some few clauses where she gave a negative remarks. Which remarks? Let's say for example, she gave a negative remarks in clause 3, 13 and 6. Oh, sorry, 5. Please tell me. Like that, I may ask you in between. You have done that. What is 3? And what is 13? And what is 5? Are these the ignorable areas or non-ignorable areas? Non-ignorable. So, boss, I can't ignore it. I have to mandatorily go into the deeper examination of these 3 negative remarks which you have kept. So, read the point number 1. PA shall not or shall consider the which findings, significant findings made by the which auditor? Competent auditor. Second, PA may perform on findings discussed with whom? Competent auditor and the management of what? Competent. So when I saw that related party loans and related party transaction may some issue is there, I will discuss with her also on what basis you gave a negative remark, and along with that I'll discuss with the management of that company whom you have done the audit. Means I'm asking the reply from both the parties. Who are the both parties? Component auditor as well as the management of that what? Component. Because I'm a bloody which auditor? Parent auditor. Which auditor? So I have every right to ask what my child is doing. Just simply like that I'm telling you. And what is the third thing? Decide supplemental TOC on FS to be what? Performed. If I think that what she has done was not good enough from my level, I may direct her to do some additional FABs. What is additional FABs? Additional further audit procedure. I think you have done less TOC, do more now. And last one can be done either by principal auditor as well as what? And if I think that she can do that much only and I need to do little bit extra hard work, I may also allow her or I may also help her. So tell me the 4 things you will do if you will find a significant findings. Question is, PA while using the work of the CA came to know that CA gave some significant findings on the audit of component. Briefly explain the audit procedures which the PA will follow. अब बताओ क्या करोगे? 4 sentences लिख के आ जाना. What is the sentence number 1? Must consider the significant findings of which auditor? Discuss with the component auditor and the management of the component. If you need that additional TOCs are required, tell the component auditor to do it. If the component auditor is not capable enough to do it alone, help the component auditor in doing that. Next point. Importance of above procedure in the particular circumstances. If the component auditor is not professionally qualified, which may happen in case of which branches? Importance of all the above procedure increase what? Drastically. Let's say for example, the component itself is located in China. Are you getting the point? And now obviously you are in India and that is a Chinese accountant. First of all, the language barrier. Hey, ha, ho, hey. So tum kya bolo? And he sent you the evidences in Chinese. So first of all, the transcript करवाना पड़ेगा. Each and every word should be. So your procedures will be more, मतलब more क्या बोलते हैं यार उसे? You have to be more careful in that case. So your procedures will get improved more what? Drastically. The increased importance of all the above provisions will increase what? Drastically. Because now you are not longer using the work of a person belonging to your land. That person belongs to a foreign land. And his approach might be different according to their institutes. Next one. Finally, what we are going to do? देखो सर एक चीज बता दो. End product of every audit is what? Documentation. Every audit का end product is documentation. What do you mean by documentation? Why do we do it? पहले तो मेरे को ये बताओ. Program and documentation में difference क्या है? Program is we do before starting of audit. Documentation is we do after conclusion of audit. What includes what? Documentation includes your programs. आपने starting से लेके end तक whatever you have done, you have to document it. Planning you have done, document it. Program, document it. Strategy, document it. Changes, document it. Reasons for the changes, document it. ROMM you found, document it. MRL you got, document it. WRL you gave, WRL you got, document it. Engagement letter you gave, document it. Every single thing what you are doing, document it and preserve it for how many years? 7 years. As per As per SA 230 or SQC 1? That is the problem. We read the half-hearted standards. SA 230 never talked about assembling time and never talked about your what? Preservation time. ये सारा जो assembling time 60 days and preservation time 7 years is all written in what? SQC1. Is it clear? So whenever you are writing this, don't quote 230 just because we are talking about documentation. Documentation preservance and assembling time is written in what? SQC1. So what are the things we need to document? Read the point number 1. List of components audited by the which auditors? Component. Because I have to tell people if they will ask me that these components are not audited by me. They were audited by whom? Component auditors. Second thing, please. Significance of each component like their total turnover, profits and what? Assets. Next one. Who performed their what? Audit. Third one. Conclusions and nature of reports received from what? Component auditor. And last one. Audit procedures applied by the principal auditor before using the work of what? Component auditors. And if CA's report is what? Modified, then how PA dealt with it in his own report. अब मेरे को एक क्वेश्चन बताओ, ये क्वेश्चन आ गया एग्जाम में कि as a principal auditor you thought of using the work of which auditor? Component auditor. Component auditors was modified. Briefly explain your course of action. You are a PA auditor. You thought of using the component auditor's work. Component auditor's report, when it came to you, you came to know that that audit report is modified. What will be your course of action? You will consider the modifications of component auditor or you will not consider? Consider. Will it impact your parent as well? See, there are two things. You are a CFS auditor as well as you are a SFS auditor. SFS auditor of a parent, CFS auditor of a group. Understand that ki every chartered accountant, irrespective of the nature and size of the component, is competent enough to give an opinion. Am I correct? You cannot challenge someone's word competence. Just because that component is ignorable in size doesn't mean that you will not consider it. You always have to what? Consider. Or ye point as it is written in audit of CFS also. Just say for example, she is a component auditor and her component is 0.25% contributory in the what? Whole group. Just 0.25%. Ignorable? Generally ignorable, but should not ignore if especially in case of which opinion? Modified opinion. If she could have given unmodified opinion, I could have ignored, no problem. But she has given a what? Modified. I cannot challenge. Okay, na, small branch, she has given the modified, doesn't matter. No. Even if it is a smaller branch, you have to consider the modifications given by the which auditor? Component auditor. Make it a part of your CFS. That is what the last point. Read the last point again. If the component auditors is what? Modified, then how the PA dealt with it in his own report. These all 6 things you need to document. Tell me the 6 things you are documenting. Each component is not audited by me. Who audited it? Am I correct or not? Did I use their work or not? You can also make a note of audit procedures used by them. And what if their report is modified in nature? How you dealt with it? अच्छा, tell me one thing. Why you are documenting it? चलो ये पता चल गया what you are documenting. My question is why? क्योंकि documentation serves as a guide for which audit? Future audit. Next year when you will do the audit, will you refer your permanent audit working file? And permanent audit work. Now please tell me, in a year, do you do multiple audits? Can you retain by next year in which audit what has happened last year? No. Only one thing which will let you know, something which you have made in what? Written form. That's the reason documentation is important. It always serves as a guide for which audits? Future audit. And next one, coordination between whom and whom? PA and CA. There should be a triple C between them. Good communication, good coordination, and good cooperation between them. Am I correct or not? Next one, communication from PA to what? CA. Advise CA on any matter important to whose work? PA's work. PA may send the detailed questionnaire on particular matter to whom? CA. PA may send issue written communication to whom? CA. अगर आपको लगता है कि there is some requirement of communication, don't hesitate. Just because he or she is a competent auditor, send the questionnaire or send the detailed information. And what is the last one? Communication from whom and whom? CA to now PA. What is the one? CA should ensure the compliance of what? Communication of what? PA. So who should follow whose directions? CA should follow PA's direction that should show from the work done by them. Are you getting the point? Second thing, CA must know the context in which the work is going to be used by what? PA. If the CA comes to know that any findings that can be resolved at which level? Entity level, bring it to the notice of what? PA. Example, timetable of the PA is what? Difficult. Suppose I told her, I need your this work. 15 ka list de diya. I need your 15 works. You make sure that by tomorrow evening it should be done. She's saying, I'm not a robot. The boss, I need at least what? 1 week. एक हफ्ता तो दो. So if she thinks that this kind of miscommunication can be resolved by having a communication with me, you should better bring it to my what? Notice, so that we can extend the time period, no problem. Because there is no status here. Always remember, designation is PA and CA, but just because she's a CA, it doesn't mean that she's lower than me. She's also a bloody statutory auditor of a company. हो सकता है tomorrow you never know, she became PA and I will be shifted to what? CA. क्योंकि CA during the course and post qualification, there is no seniority and what? Junior. This is the only course where you can't do ragging. Am I correct or not? Because the day one you are senior and the next day you might be what? Junior. Because the junior might be more intellectual than you and he qualified before you. Correct? Next one. Reporting considerations of what? PA. If the report, Acha, please tell me, what if the report of CA is not reliable? Can he force it? No, sir, you told me to do the work. I did it. Please use it. Can she force me? Or she can't? Ultimately, it is whose decision to consider the work or not. So see, after performing 600 requirement, if the PA concludes that a report of CA can't be relied upon, then if not able to apply 600 procedures and unable to obtain info on component from CA, give qualified or disclaimer. Why? I told her to do some work. She did it, but I didn't like her work. First of all, should I use it or should not use it? But what should I give then? Why I am giving modified report here? Because what I gave her the work, did I get it or did not get it? So is it a availability or non-availability? If it is M but not P, qualified. If it is M but P, disclaimer. Now, next point. If the report of the CA is reliable but what? Modified. Must consider the matter of the qualification carefully, its nature and its what? Significance. Shall decide whether his report is also required to be modified or not. Whose report? PA's report is required to be modified or not. And if you think that big modification is not required, go with SA706. What is SA706? EMP or OMP? Chinna modification. Just like EMP, OMP paragraph add kar do. This is, I would like to bring your notice to this component. Within this component, these findings were found out by the component auditor. Bring it to the notice of users of financial statement. But if you think that her findings are significant and impacting the parent as well, then deal with what? 705. Now tell me, do you have an evidence? Now evidence है तो क्या करेंगे? यहाँ तो qualified करेंगे, adverse करेंगे. When qualified? M but not P. When adverse? M as well as P. Is it clear to all of you? 100% sorted without. So that brings an end to your what? SA 600. यहाँ तक समझ में आया? तो बताओ 600 was what? Using the work of what? Another auditor. So who is using whose work? Principal auditor is using the work of. इस standard में इतना कुछ है नहीं. The relevance of this standard actually makes use in chapter called Audit of CFS. That's it. Just because this reference is given in Audit of CFS, that's why you should just read out this standard just before leaving for the examination, right? Let's proceed with the next standard, everyone. SA 600 में 600 is over. Let's do with what? 610. Using the work of which auditor? इसको तो मैं तुम्हें orally करवाता हूँ. बहुत छोटा सा standard है, easy standard है. देखो, what happened in 2018? That time you were not even entered into the course. Am I right? Some of you might have. Those who are having the growth period. Am I correct? But most of you were not into the course. Let me tell you what happened. SA 600 was what and is what right now. SA 600 का name क्या है? पहले तो ये बताओ. Using the work 610, sorry, using the work of internal audit. By whom? External auditor. By the whom? External. तो मतलब एक organization है, there is internal audit and there is a statutory auditor. Statutory auditor went to the internal auditor, boss, I need your work. That is where the 610 requirement comes. My question is why? Why there is a need of using the work of which auditor? Internal. Because who stayed throughout the year? Who knows in and out every info about the company? Internal. He is a bloody asset for you. Am I correct? But at the same point of time, consider AR. Audit risk. क्योंकि ये बंदा किसका puppet है? Management का. So you want to use the work, but at the same point of time, you know that this person is the biggest puppet of whom? Management. So can you rely or you can't rely? That is a fight which is going to be discussed in this standard code over 610. देखो दो चीजें. There are two things you may happen. You may use his work, you may use him. Direct assistance. What is the word I am using? देखो स्टैंडर्ड को लर्न करने के दो ही तरीके हैं. सिंप्लीफाइड, ब्रेक इट इनटू द पार्ट्स in the most comfortable English. After that, see the words and put it in the writing. Understand करने के लिए तो we can break it into common English or not. Yes. So what are the two things? You may use his work or you may use him. If you're using his work, there's one aspect discussed in the standard. If you're using his word, direct assistance, there is one another aspect. Simple. Let's say for example, I'm using the whose work. तो पहले अपन यूजिंग द वर्क की बात करते हैं, नॉट यूजिंग हिम की बात करते हैं. ठीक है. क्वेश्चन नंबर 1, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, इज इट मैंडेटरी टू यूज द इंटरनल ऑडिटर्स वर्ड और अगेन इट इज रिकमेंडरी? दिस होल सीरीज इज रिकमेंडरी इन नेचर. व्हाट इन नेचर? रिमेनिंग ऑल स्टैंडर्ड्स इन आवर एसेस आर मैंडेटरी. You can't say that I will not prepare documentation. You have to. You can't say that I will not continue with the client relationship with my QCPPs. You have to, as per 220. You cannot say that I will ignore MOA and I'll ignore FFR frauds. You will ignore or you have to consider under 240. You can't say that I will not take external confirmation. I will bloody do with internal only. You have to use 505. But these three standards, 600, 610 and 620 are recommendatory in nature. You may use, may not use. ICE is not forcing you. But ICE is telling you very clear thing. The moment you thought you want to use, you are 100% responsible. And how responsible you are, that is what is discussed in the standard. Let's say, for example, there are 5 things you need to understand when we are using the internal auditor's work. Point number 1, there should be triple C between them. A good coordination, communication, and cooperation. Are you getting the point? ऐसा नहीं है कि you have not met throughout the year, suddenly you will take a decision, let's use the work of what? Internal auditor. Meet with the internal auditor. Just because they are working for the management doesn't mean that they are your enemy. That is their work. हम लोग ना इंटरनल ऑडिट को बड़ा मतलब लोअर काइंड ऑफ प्रोफेशन समझते हैं. अरे कौन करेगा इंटरनल ऑडिट? इंटरनल ऑडिट मीन्स पपेट ऑफ मैनेजमेंट डांसिंग ऑन द विशेस एंड डायरेक्शंस ऑफ द मैनेजमेंट. एक्चुअली इट इज नॉट लाइक दैट. Internal audit is nowadays far becoming more popular than which audit? Statutory audit. A lot of money is there in the which audit? Internal. And it's not that you are puppet of management. You are still independent. It is just that your independence level is a little bit lower as compared to what? Statutory audit. So what do you think that section number 138 told what? Who can be the internal auditor? Tell me the day one first topic. We started with 138. What is day one first topic? A CA or a CA. Bracket में क्या था? Practicing or not. How you can expect that the practicing internal auditor who is a CA will not be competent enough? He is competent, but the problem is I am external auditor. I have to do my precautions. Because when I'm using the work of which auditor? Internal auditor. From my side, he worked for whom? Management. So 315 may appear. What is 315? IR, CR, DR. What is IR? Internal risk है ना? किसने बोला था कल internal risk? IR stands for what? Inherent risk. CR, control risk, and DR stands for? It can be very much higher in case you are using the work of what? Internal. That's why there has to be a triple C between them. Good communication, coordination, cooperation between EA and IA. ठीक है? I will use the words EA, IA, DA. What is DA? Direct assist. So EA using the DA of IA. External auditor using the direct assistance of internal auditor. Understood? When I will use these words, you will be able to understand now. Okay. Point number one, we understood. Point number two, you need to ensure that ki ROMUM is very high. What is ROMUM? Material misstatement will be very high. So by using the application of 315, you have to reduce it to the which level? Lowest acceptable level. So sir, how to do it? To reduce it to the lowest acceptable level, there are 7 to 8 tests you have to do on the which auditor? Internal audit. Test number one, objectivity test. Which test? What do you mean by objectivity test? Check his impartiality and unbiasedness level. Let's say, for example, he is a relative of the MD of the company. He is the relative of the MD of the company. Who? Internal auditor. Should you use or should not use? Should not. He is an independent practicing CA. Should use. So, difference between reserve candidate and deserve candidate. Did you get the point? Are you getting the point? If he is a relative of the MD, I should not use. If he is not, I should use. Second thing, organizational status. What is the second thing? Check his status in the organization. Are the people giving importance to this internal auditor? Are they listening to him? Are they considering his suggestions or not? उसे बोलते हैं organizational status. If he is getting louder in the organization, if he is being heard in the organization, use his work. If he is not, don't use his work. Tell me the two tests. Objectivity, organizational status. Third test, scope of his work. What is the third test? His Lakshman Rekha you should know. What he can cross, what he can't. Simple. If you think that according to you, his scope is very much what? Limited and shorter, don't use his work. It means he is not enjoying a good status in the organization. If his scope is wider, he can have an access to TCWG, directly to the chairman, to the MD, CEO, CFO, use his work. What is the third test? Scope. Tell me the three. Objectivity, organizational status, scope. Fourth, degree of independence. What is the fourth one? What do you mean by degree of independence? Obviously, he is not that independent as me, but how you can check someone's independence? Whether he is having any financial relationship with the client or not. Whether he is having any family relationship with the client or not. So these are the two aspects you have to check. What is F and F relationship? Financial and family. That shows his what? Independence. Tell me the fourth test now. Objectivity, organizational status, and next, reporting responsibilities. What is the fifth one? Reporting responsibility. What do you mean by reporting responsibilities? To whom he is reporting? Suppose he is allowed to report only to the head, departmental heads, and this internal auditor is allowed to report directly to the chairman. Whose reporting responsibilities are far better than whom? Second one is better than what? First one. Make the use of his work, ignore his work. So what is the fifth element? Reporting responsibility. Sixth element, qualification and competence. My question is very clear to you. Now can you check his competence and qualification, which you were not allowed in 600? याद है 600 में हमने अभी क्या किया था? When you are not allowed to check qualification and competence, if the component auditor is a what? Chartered accountant. Here he is a chartered accountant. Are you allowed or not allowed? Allowed. Why? Why? Why not allowed there in 600? He's a chartered accountant. Here also he is a chartered accountant. There the communication was taking between statutory and statutory. Here it is, and it was a horizontal communication. It was which communication? एक पेरेंट ऑडिटर सब्सिडरी ऑडिटर से बात कर रहा था. यहां पे ये हो गया, वर्टिकल हो गई. Belonging to same entity, one is external and one is what? Internal. That's why you can here. Did you get the point? Logic समझ में आया? Right? Okay. ये हो गया अपना qualification and competence. Do you have to see whether he has undergone the adequate training or not? Yes. Next, proficiency in audit. These are residual tests you have to do. Major are these 6 tests which you have to conduct on which auditor? Internal audit. Tell me the 6 tests. What you would like to do? Chalo, let me put a question how it may come in the examination. An external auditor, while doing his audit, found a need of using the work of which auditor? Internal auditor. As per SS 610 requirement, what he is supposed to do before using the work of internal auditor? Briefly explain. He has to conduct the fall. He has to keep following factors in his mind before making the use of whose work? Internal auditor's work. Factor number one, organizational status. Factor number two, reporting responsibility, objectivity, technical competency and knowledge. Then proficiency in audit, degree of independence, degree of scope. Am I correct or not? ये सारी चीजें चेक करने के बाद फाइनली यू विल टेक अ कॉल, शुड आई यूज हिज वर्क और नॉट. थर्ड पॉइंट, अब सुनना ध्यान से. कैन एक्सटर्नल ऑडिटर, ध्यान से सुनना, कैन एक्सटर्नल ऑडिटर गिव इंस्ट्रक्शंस टू इंटरनल ऑडिटर लाइक कंपोनेंट ऑडिटर? लाइक कंपोनेंट ऑडिटर को कैन यू गिव इंस्ट्रक्शंस? यस, क्योंकि यू आर अ पेरेंट ऑडिटर एंड ही इज अ व्हाट? कंपोनेंट. हियर कैन एक्सटर्नल give the orders and instructions to the internal auditor? No, he's not a part of your work. He's not being paid by you. He will only listen to one person's order, that is management. Did you get the clarification? What is the answer you have to write? Yes or no? No. Is he under an obligation to report to me? That answer is also what? No. Because he is being paid by whom? Management. He is only reporting to whom? Management. He is under no obligation. I am saying he may report to me, but he is under no obligation to mandatorily report to me. Tell me the four things we understood. There has to be a triple C between them. Coordination, communication, cooperation. What are the factors you need to keep it in mind before using his work? ये सारे 7-8 factors. Can you give orders? No. Is he under obligation? Are you responsible for his work? If you are using it, yes. If you are not using it, no. Because using it means it's your call. That's why you're responsible. Not using it, you refuse. You're not responsible. Is it clear? And the most important point, is he bringing 315 along with him? Is internal auditor bringing 315 along with him? Is he bringing ROMAM along with him? Yes. He may give me a which information? Wrong information. The ROMAM level will be higher or lower? तो ROMAM को reduce कैसे करते हैं मेरे को बताना. I know we reduce it, but how to reduce the ROMAM? हाँ बोलो. By? बोलो. By discuss what? बहुत सिंपल सी बात है. By checking his APs. What is APs? Audit procedures. By checking his findings. By checking his approach. By checking his competency. By checking his expertise. By checking his proficiency. All these are the things, if you think that perfectly good according to your expectation, your ROMAM is what? Reduced. To the which level? Because yesterday only we understood ROMAM can be eliminated or can only be reduced? Only be reduced. This is what you do before making the use of whose work? Internal auditor's work. Now let's understand. I'm not using his work now. I'm using him now. मतलब, am I using work or I am using DA? What is DA? Direct assistance of the which auditor? अब ICA simply has said that, okay boss, you are allowed from 1/4/2018 onwards, you are allowed to use the work of what? You are allowed to use whom? Internal auditor. Work तो पहले भी था. This is the revision part. Now ICA says that, do one thing Rohit, before using the work of internal auditor, do two tests. One is objectivity test and one is competence test. What are the only two tests? Objectivity, competence. Under objectivity 4, under the competence 4, total 8. Objectivity test number 1. Again check his organizational status, common. What do you mean by organizational status? Whether he is being considered by the people of the organization or not. Second, do the financial relationship test. Which test? Third, do the family relationship test. Which test? And make sure, fourth test mein, you should not use his direct assistance in that area where he has worked. Are you understanding what I'm saying? You should not use his work in which area? That area where he has already, because otherwise self-review threat will come for him. Which review? He can't review his own work. Am I correct or not? He will not be able to give you the 100% efficiency. These four things shows his objectivity. Tell me the 4 objectivity test. Organizational test, financial relationship test, family relationship test, and departmental test बोल दो उसे. Which test? डिपार्टमेंट है, he should not be working in that department where you are thinking of using his what? DA. Point number 2, you should clearly express what are the areas where you are looking for his what? DA and extent of his DA. Third point, competence test. Which test? Competence. What are the competence tests? Competence test number 1, send him questionnaire. Send him what? Question. Never ever. यहाँ पे भी देखो, other person is a qualified CA. You are not expected to directly conversate. हाँ, do you know FRF? अच्छा, tell me what is 230. Tell me what is AS10. You can't question like this ना. Better that you give what? Questionnaire. अच्छा, questionnaire देने से 3 चीजें पता चल जाएंगी. We will come to know about the 3 things. Proficiency of doing his what? Audit. His techniques, procedures are matching with my expectations or not. Point number 2, his AFRF knowledge. What is AFRF? अच्छा, उसके अंदर बताओ क्या होता है? What is AFRF by the way? अच्छा, एक काम करो, मेरे को AFRF और मटेरियल मिसस्टेटमेंट की डेफिनेशन बताओ. फुल फॉर्म नहीं, डेफिनेशन. AFRF means what? All the applicable financial reporting frameworks, which includes accounting standards, Ind AS, laws and regulations. Am I correct? Accounting and मतलब accounting policies, accounting gaps, everything comes under what? AFRF. Basically, AFRF says that your FS should be this. Does he know that or not? I'm checking this. तो AFRF का meaning you know. What is MM? Material mistake. इसकी definition बताओ. बताओ. What is MM? पानी देना. What is MM? Yes. It's a very simple definition. What you should have done and what you have done. If there is a difference between the two, that is called MM. See, let me give you a very simple example. What is AS2? What does that say? Cost or NRV, whichever is lower. But you did cost or NRV, whichever is higher. So my question is, what you should have done? Lower. What you have done? Is there a difference? That is MM. How you should have disclosed bad debt recovery? Under a normal disclosure or separate disclosure? But you shown under the normal disclosure. Again MM. याद रखना MM का मतलब क्या था. अब सुनो प्रॉपर डेफिनेशन. What is your reportable framework of your ABCD? Repeat after me. What is your reportable framework of your ABCD? Accounts, balances, classes of transactions and disclosures. And what you have reported in your ABCD. If there is a difference between the two, that is called MM. Material misstatement. अब समझ में आ रहा है? पहले तो आपको ये टेक्निकलिटीज पता होनी चाहिए. ये नहीं होना, क्योंकि क्या होता है, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड दीज मीनिंग्स, देन ओनली यू विल अंडरस्टैंड द बेस्ट प्लेस टू यूज देम. इफ यू डोंट नो द मीनिंग ना, you may miss these accurate words and ultimately your marks will be what? Reduced. So you should know the meanings of these things. पहले तो एक clarification होनी चाहिए basic things की. Okay, let's come back to competence test. What is the first test I told you? Send him the questionnaire. When you will send in the questionnaire, you will come to know about 3 things. Proficiency, AFRF knowledge, and necessary skill set. What are the 3 things? Proficiency, AFRF knowledge, and necessary word, skill set. Does he possess any competence and skill or not? And most important, 4th thing, what you have to do in competence is check his recruitment and hiring documentation. Check his which documentation? अच्छा ये बताओ, उससे क्या पता चलेगा? What you will learn about the internal auditor by checking his resume and CV and his recruitment process? 2 things. Is he a reserve candidate or deserved candidate? What do you mean by that? If he's a backdoor entry, he was a bloody relative of a like MD or CEO or CFO. What does that mean? Deserved or reserved? Reserved. And if he is a CA, All India rank, having an experience of 10 years in practice, now please tell me, deserved or reserved? Deserved. तो आपको deserved or reserved competency से connected है. So tell me the 4 objectivity test and tell me the 4 competence tests you did. ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल स्टेटस, फाइनेंशियल, फैमिली, डिपार्टमेंटल टेस्ट. कॉम्पिटेंस में proficiency, AFRF knowledge, necessary skill set, and what? Hiring documentation and recruitment documentation. I said that once you did these two tests, now it's time for the external auditor to enter two written agreements. Two written agreements. Which agreements? Do you remember 620? 620 में whether the auditor and expert enter into a written agreement or not. Yes. Here not only one, you have to do what? Two. One with the company, one with the internal auditor. What two written agreements you have? One with the company. In the process of entering it with the company, take two declarations from the company in writing. Declaration number one, they will give the full-fledged internal auditor's assistance to me. Matlab full-fledged means what? 100% no interference when the internal auditor is a part of which team? External auditor's team. Point number one. Second thing, when he is giving me the direct assistance, they will not give him the company work. They will not give him the which work? Company work. Company ka kaam he will not do till the time he is a part of my which team? Engagement team. Did you get the one? Tell me, what are the two declarations I am taking from the company in writing? First of all, who is taking? External. From the authorized representative of the company in writing. What are the two? 100% assistance is to be given by whom? Internal to the external. What is the second thing? During the direct assistance, they won't provide any kind of what? Company work to the which auditor? Internal auditor. Point number one. Is it clarified now? Two declarations I need from the internal auditor. Suppose she is the internal auditor. What are the two declarations she has to give? Point number one. You will maintain IOIC when you are working with me. Sign it. Sign it. You will maintain integrity, objectivity, independence, confidentiality when you are signing with me. Are you getting now? She said, okay, sir, sign. So what is the second declaration? The moment you come to know that there is a threat coming to your IOIC, first you will inform me and I will immediately stop taking the DA of IA. Did you get the point? Suppose when she became the part of my team, she was having no family, financial, any relationship. So she declared IOIC 100% I will maintain. ऐसा करके कर दिया. What happened? When she was under my direct assistance, suddenly her own real brother became the MD of the company. Now tell me, is it a threat now? To her what? पहले तो ये बता कौन सा threat है? Familiarity threat. It's a which threat? Now she'll be able to maintain same IOIC she was maintaining with me earlier? Or that's a threat now? Immediately inform me, I'll stop taking your what? Direct assistance. Did you get the point? This is what brings an end to your discussion on what? SA 610. Using the work of which auditor? Internal. ये सारी चीजें दिमाग में रखनी है when you देखो ultimately the purpose is external who is more independent using the work of internal who is what? Less independent. What precautions you have to take when you're using his work. That's what standard is teaching you. Is it clear? The more rigid you will become, no, I will to go as per the material, what my material is rating. You will never be able to get an answer, but you have to write in the examination. Learn the things instead of mugging up the things. Practically भी हम लोग यही करते हैं. When we make the use of the internal auditor's work, this is what we do. And तुम्हें क्या लगता है? Standard is just an explanatory statements which are given to you. Just made it mandatory just like that. No, sir. That BOD, DD, DC, they all are watching you every time. The moment you will go deviation from these standards, immediately complaint will be made. Are you getting the point? So make sure that you should learn what is actually written in that. The moment you will start learning, the things will go inside your head, will get embedded. Don't use cache memory. Use your hard disk for a permanent storage. Cache memory क्या है? Class से बाहर के flash. Now please tell me, do you know all the sections and caros and professional ethics, what we have done so far? It means you are using you are listening to me, not hearing. Are you getting the point? The सारी skill set होती है which you have to develop, and the good skill set which you have to develop is reading skills. Read the questions carefully. Twice, thrice. Sir, इतना time लगाएंगे question में? भाई, the question itself is the 50% of your answer. You don't have. Question में ही answer दिया होता है. चलो मैं एक question पूछता हूँ, ध्यान से answer देना. Let me see, and I'm going to ask you that question from the like standard which you have done yesterday. There is one company which is into the beverages and foods business. That company is having so many pending litigations and claims. Am I correct? अब तुम्हारे अंदर से एक पॉपअप हो गया, अरे 501, हाँ करेक्ट है. मैं तुम्हें बताता हूँ वेर यू फॉल रॉन्ग. ओके, so it is included in the business of beverages and foods and all, and it has some 16 to 20 pending litigations against them. Am I correct? As an auditor, I went to the management and told to the management कि I would like to have a word with the your legal expert panel to understand the impact of those pending limitations. Are you on the winning side or losing side? Management said, Rohit, in these kind of issues, we never allow our auditor to interact with our expert panel. Comment. क्या आंसर लिखोगे? हाँ हाँ, क्या एक जना बताओ, बोलो बोलो क्या? ओके, योर आंसर इज इनकरेक्ट. व्हाट सर? You using what? Editor's expert. Okay. But tell me one thing, where you will use your auditor's expert, what you will give it to him? What he should do? Do you have evidence? Did they give you the files of those cases? That is with the expert only, and you are not being allowed to have an interaction with them. Others expert you will use, they are providing you the evidence, but you did not get the output what you were expecting. Are you getting the point? I never told you that they will never give you the permission. My question, in this question they are telling you that they did not allow you the permission. Now, when you will move to that 501 properly ना, वहाँ पे एक छोटा सा पैराग्राफ नीचे दिया हुआ स्टैंडर्ड में. Circumstances under which external auditor cannot be denied. What is the question? Circumstances under which auditor cannot be denied. मतलब ये वो 3 circumstances है जब ऑडिटर को मैनेजमेंट मना कर ही नहीं सकती. Point number 1. If that pending litigations are posing significant risk. What is the point number 1? Significant risk. Point number 2. If there's a disagreement between the management and their what? Expert panel. When there's a disagreement between the management and their expert panel, तब तो और suspicious transaction है. Management is saying we are winning and experts are indicating they are what? Losing. And third thing, when it is going to substantially break down the company's GC. What is GC? Going on. ये 3 केसेस ऐसी हैं जहां पे मैनेजमेंट आपको रिफ्यूज कर ही नहीं सकती. दिस इज द आंसर फॉर दैट क्वेश्चन. अब मेरे को पता था तुम्हारे दिमाग में पता क्या चलेगा. सेम थिंग व्हाट वी डिस्कस यस्टरडे. ऑडिटर शुड आस्क द मैनेजमेंट द रीजंस ऑफ रिफ्यूजल. ही शुड ट्राई टू डू. इज दिस 90% of you was thinking about this question only, but no one read that part in the sum. Most of the time it is the most ignorable part. वहां पे clearly एक question दिया हुआ है. Briefly are the circumstances under which external panel shall not be kept away from whom? Auditor. Or auditor should not be denied to meet with the which panel? External. Sir, उस टाइम पे आपको permission लेना ही नहीं है. You just simply have to communicate. No permission required. Permission is required when you think that there is no significant risk, there is no GC problem, and there is no disagreement between the management and what? Experts ka advice. In these 3 cases, directly you can break the door and go to the expert panel. Then in that case, he can't tell you, Rohit, you maintain your confidentiality, I'll maintain mine. Yesterday I told you, turn around, po. Can they say that? No. Because this is extreme situation. And you are working for whom? Management. Are you working for panel or users of financials? Now it is a bloody question on their survival. User deserves to know that what is happening in the company. Because if this particular case will blow up, company will completely wound up. And I can't take the chance of not collecting SAAE on the same. That's why in this case permission required or not required? Not required. Directly communicate with them. What are the 3 circumstances under which we will directly? Case is too complex and posing a which risk? Significant risk. Second, GC is completely downgraded, 0. And third case, there's a disagreement between whom and whom? Management and their expert panel. Did you get the point? Under these circumstances, you have to meet with the which panel? Legal expert panel. लेकिन ये क्वेश्चन आपको 0 मार्क्स देता था if you will write on your own. इसलिए try to have a good reading skill. instead of mugging skill. Read the question once. नहीं समझ में आ रहा? Twice. Okay, not able to understand? Thrice. 3 times read कर लो question. Invest some time, but do invest. Right? इसीलिए तो 15 minutes दिए गए ना आपको first. 15 minutes क्यों दिए गए? So that you can relax and prioritize your answers. Are you getting the point? And never ever start reading the question paper from the first. Read it from the last. The most easiest questions are always given in the last. That gives you the confidence. But suddenly you can't expect to have a bombarding kind of question coming to your way. On the spot, confidence will become zero and you will into the panic attack. I don't know. मेरे को नहीं आता, छोड़ो. Read the last question, have some confidence. First score the 40 in your mind. Then reach to 50 and then to 60. Identify those areas where you can at least get 40. Look at the marks. Give it the marks. Okay, boss, I will attempt this. In the first 1.5 hour, I can score at least what? 40. So whatever you will do is additional bonus. I तो never suggest the student to aim for 60. Aim for 40. That's it. Auditing में. क्योंकि your law will cover up. Law में बहुत अच्छे marks आते हैं. Law is a section bound. मैं अपने marks बताऊं? Final के. I got 7 exemptions in CFI. सिर्फ एक ही सब्जेक्ट था जिसमें मेरे को एग्जाम्पशन नहीं थी. हमारे टाइम पे उसका नाम होता था SCMP है ना, जो तुम्हारा AMA होता था, AMA एंड OR. मेरे मार्क्स से मैं तुम्हें बताता हूँ, FR में 67 एंड दूसरा SFM में मेरे 92, ऑडिटिंग में 68. ठीक है ना, इसलिए मेरे को सेबी में जॉब मिली थी SFM के कारण. एंड मेरे ऑडिटिंग में 68 थे और लॉ में मेरे 83 थे. AMA एंड OR में 49 थे, DT में 78 थे एंड मेरे IDT में 87 थे और इसका में मेरे 61 थे. These were the marks. 7 exam. I was all India 19 rank during my time, and that happened because one attempt before I was attacked by paralysis, and that is the only reason I didn't write my exam. Because when I was writing my first attempt, I was 100% sure AIR 1, 2, 3 at least. That much of preparation was there. But unfortunately, hypertension attack came, cholesterol issue came, and total Bell's palsy was there up to this part, left side. So 4.5 months I was hospitalized. And then I remember still 2nd September was the date when I was released from the hospital. And November was the exam. The doctor told me you can't open your eyes for more than 2.5 hours at that point of time. Because if I'll open it, the water will start coming out. That much of left side. So I used to sleep like putting a tape here. Because this eye was not getting closed. So due to that, my vision of this eye was completely ruined that point of time. So I wrote all my exams. I still remember 2 hours 45 minutes. Exactly. Beyond that, I was not allowed because I was not able to. And it's not that I didn't write May exams. I wrote May exams also during my paralysis. So I used to have a, वो एक handle होता है for the Bell's palsy. You have to put it in your mouth and you have to hang it onto your ear so that you can keep this side on the same position. During that time, 3 hours I used to put that there. So उस time में मेरे आए थे 397 marks out of 800. So उस time में I failed in every exam, cleared one exam, that is called IDT. हमारे time पे IDT बहुत easy होता था. But then November 2012, I wrote my exams and cleared it with All India 99. That is the reason I took 2 attempts. Otherwise, you could have seen my name in AIR 1, 2 and 3. But anyways, the thing was that that time, how I prepared, I will simply would like to tell you that मैं कभी tension लेता ही नहीं था. I never used to take a tension. After the paralysis, I stopped taking it. Because what I realized the fact, because that is what the same thing has happened to that girl. Same thing I used to do during my times. First day को मालूम है ना what happened to that girl? She simply fell down. The reason was very simple. Health is the most important thing in your life. Always remember that. First priority should be your body. Nothing else. First priority should be your body. Nothing at all. Eat well, sleep well. It doesn't matter if you will not become the one. It's okay. Try to accept this fact. It's okay. There are people who are earning far, far better than us also without getting qualified. Today's time पे more than qualification, skill matters. What matters? तुम्हारे से ज्यादा पैसा पानी पूरी बेचने वाला बनाता है. 300 बंदों को पानी पूरी खिलाओ आप, 20 रुपीज की प्लेट है, 6,000 का दिन का टर्नओवर, 30 days 1,80,000, विच इज मोर देन योर एवरेज फर्स्ट मंथ सैलरी. समझ रहे हो? तो आज के टाइम पे आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट क्वालिफिकेशन होना इज अ बैड थिंग, बट ओनली हैविंग द क्वालिफिकेशन is zero. Having a qualification with a good skill set is important. That's why every year I keep on doing one degree so that I can update and upgrade myself. Today I have 9 in my pocket. 10th is going to come in the next June. I insolvency professional. Every year अपने आप को गिफ्ट करो एक डिग्री. You have to keep on doing, क्योंकि you know there's a rapid change in environment. Understand? You think that after getting qualified you will do a job and you will do a practice. क्या करोगे practice में? 3 तो चीजें पता है तुम्हें, GST, IT and statutory audit. You don't know the other fields what are waiting for you in the forensic audit. करो ना sir. Highest amount of remuneration comes in that way. Do a insolvency professional. Single client fetches you the annual turnover. Single client fetches you the annual turnover. These are untouched areas where the generation of yours can make the mark. Don't behave like the rigid chartered accountants who are only getting limited to these fields. Grow your wings, fly it over. Do other courses. Post qualification mein DISA is must. Some of you might not have planned it. You must plan it from today only. After getting qualified, the first course you have to do is DISA. You will not be able to survive in job in one. What about every company's today's books of accounts, accounting system? Manual, automated. So DISA stands for what? Diploma in Information System Audit. Unless you are not an ISA in India, you won't get even a job letter. Or if they will give you, they will only, company will force you to do DISA from ICA. So these are the 3-4 post-qualification courses which you have to do. Today's era is that, and in the coming 5 years, only skill is going to survive in the market, not qualification. Only skill. If a BCom qualified is more skillful than you, they would like to hire that person over you. Qualification slowly is getting unworthy in the market. What is getting more worthy? Skill set. Improvise yourself. Updated according to the environment. हमने पढ़ा ना SM में PESL. हम लोग पढ़ते हैं ना, political, ecological, lawful, technical environment. More thing which is nowadays affecting is not your micro, it is your macro. You have to go according to the environment, otherwise you will be vanished in the market. I have faced that in 2020 when the pandemic situation came. I was very camera conscious person. मेरे को कैमरा के सामने आना अच्छा नहीं लगता था. तो for the 3 months I had my ego. कुछ भी हो जाए, क्योंकि pandemic situation में lockdown happened. I almost cancelled my 7 batches on the spot. I had to refund lakhs and lakhs of money of the student who already registered with me. Right? Then I thought of, okay, I will not go on camera. Let the lockdown be over. 3 months I didn't do the work. I got jammed in my head. It was looking like, something is eating me from inside. Because when you become workaholic like this, daily I have a habit of 10 to 12 hours work. So when you don't, Sundays are the worst things on me. When I get free, it is required for family time, but sometimes it starts eating you from inside when you are not workaholic kind of person. And it's been 10 years I was continuous. Suddenly a shock, no face-to-face classes. How many of you knew the Zoom before pandemic? Nobody. How many? I even didn't know how to operate OBS software before pandemic. Now today, the 100% setup I do for my classes. Teach, learn every time, new things. Are you getting the point or not? That time I could not hire even a servant to open the computer for me, because it was a complete pandemic situation. So you have to start. Then I realized the thing that, you have to be flexible enough. Skills are something which are very important. And they will show you the door if you are not skillful. Simple. Neither you will be able to survive in the industry, nor you will be able to survive with your practice. Always remember. Most important thing is skill. Upgrade yourself after getting qualified. Do small courses ना. ये जैसे छोटे छोटे पोस्ट क्वालिफिकेशन कोर्सेज होते हैं, ट्रेजरी मैनेजमेंट, फॉरेक्स ट्रेजरी, इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकिंग का डीसा हो गया, फिर अपना फोरेंसिक ऑडिट हो गया, कंकरेंट ऑडिट. डू दिस सर्टिफिकेशन कोर्सेज एंड हु प्रोवाइड्स दैट? आई से ओनली. And become bank auditors, become concurrent auditor, take 4-5 bankers. You don't need anything else. 2-3 बैंक के concurrent audit आ गए ना तुम्हें, बस है. एक महीने का 25,000 आता है एक ब्रांच से, and you don't have to do it. Have the buffalo, articles under use. Not less than buffaloes only. 3 years you work for 5,000, 7,000. Am I correct or not? You will be feeling proud. Where you will get employees like this who are working under you for 12 hours a day and getting 7,000 only? Are you understanding? CA's office is the most cheapest way to establish it. You need a table, 1 chair on this side, 2 on that side, where the clients will sit, and 4 computers. That's it. Articles will sit. Simple. Total पूरा expenditure. सर वाईफाई भी वो अपना आजकल कनेक्ट कर लेते हैं. डोंगल वोंगल दे दो बस है. Cheapest investment in the CA's office is only. And highest saving also is here. क्योंकि उनको देना क्या है? 7,000 into 5, 35,000 वो खर्चा है, 20,000 बिल्डिंग का खर्चा है, 10 और लगा लो. मैक्सिमम 60-70,000 में आपका पूरा खर्चा हो जाता है मंथली. एंड विद द हेल्प ऑफ देम यू विल बी एबल टू अर्न 5, 6, 10 ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. खत्म हो जाता है. सेविंग्स कितनी है? 10% एक्सपेंडिचर, 90% सेविंग. सिंपल. एंजॉय करो, मालदीव्स जाओ, गोवा जाओ, ऐसे. करेक्ट है नहीं? तो सिंपल सी बात है सर. एट द एंड ऑफ द डे स्किल सेट इज मोर इंपॉर्टेंट देन क्वालिफिकेशन. राइट? चलो जल्दी से वाइंड अप करते हैं सीरीज को. लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड द 620 ऑल्सो. व्हाट इज 620 एवरीवन? यूजिंग द वर्क ऑफ वर्ड. पहले तो ये बताओ एक्सपर्ट क्या होता है. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय एन एक्सपर्ट? एक्सपर्ट इज अ पर्सन अदर देन व्हाट? द फील्ड ऑफ ऑडिटिंग एंड अकाउंटिंग. दैट पर्सन इज नोन एज एक्सपर्ट. क्योंकि हु इज एन एक्सपर्ट इन द फील्ड ऑफ ऑडिटिंग एंड अकाउंटिंग? वी. So obviously we will never hire someone as an expert when we need the help in what? Auditing and accounting. It is other than auditing and accounting. Now, when we talk about the expert, there are 2 types of experts. Read the first one. One is management expert and one is what? Auditor's expert. Who is management expert? The one who is hired, remunerated and used by whom? Management. And one who is hired, remunerated and used by whom? Auditor. Is the auditor's expert. So this standard is not on expert. This standard is on auditor's expert. Auditor's expert में again 2 types of experts. Auditor's internal expert, auditor's external expert. Don't write internal auditor's expert or external auditor's expert. The meaning will change. Are you getting the point? So don't unnecessarily do the prefix and suffix on your own. What is the name of these 2 experts? Auditor's internal, Auditor's external. What do you mean by auditor's internal? Can I have a multidisciplinary firm? I needed a legal advice. And can I have LLB in my firm? तो मैंने LLB से advice ले लिया. अब बताओ, which expert I have hired? Auditor's internal. क्योंकि he is the person from my own firm, but from the different discipline. Is it clear? But say for example, in my firm only CAs are there. My friend's firm is there where LLB is there. Now I hired that LLB's services now. Auditor's external expert. But either it is internal or what? External. It is, should be under your directions only. You have to do the same test what you have done on internal auditor before using the work of what? Expert. Make sure that expert should not have any past relationship with your client. Objectivity test, independence test, all that skill test, everything you have to do in this case also. But did you understand the definition of expert first? The expert other than auditing and accounting. What are the 2? Management, auditor. Auditor mein what are the 2? Auditor's internal, auditor's external. Within the firm, if I am using the resources, internal. Outside, external. Simple. Next one. Factors affecting the nature, time and extent of audit procedures. Significance of expert's work. Always remember you have to understand the significance of his work. First, you should see, do you need his work or not? Is he so much required or not? Say for example, in my audit, 60% of the things I need from the expert's mouth only. So tell me, is it significant enough? Yes. So I need the whose work? Expert's work. Second thing, auditor's knowledge and experience with what? Expert. If the auditor thinks reminding the expert in again and again is required, what do you mean by that? Say for example, क्या होता है कि when you hire an expert ना, you expect that the expert knows his work very well. But if you think that you have to, repeat again and again the things to him, he's not able to understand, it's better to change that expert. It means that expert is not good enough for you. Reminding him again and again is a negative impression. Right? What is the second point, everyone? Auditors, knowledge, and what? Experience with what? Expert. What is the third thing you have to keep it in matter? Nature of matter. See that if that matter for which you are hiring him is completely out of your technical expertise or not. If it is completely out, then use his work. Otherwise, if you think that it is little bit something you can manage, then do the necessary thing on your skill first instead of using the expert's work. Again, you can reduce the chances of 315. What is 315? Audit risk. क्योंकि ultimately here also you are using somebody's work ना. देखो सर सीधी सी बात है. If I think I need an expert in forensic accounting, if I myself think that कि I can do forensic accounting course, it's better to you do it na, instead of using someone's work. Am I correct or not? So that's what they're trying to tell you here. Next one, risk of material misstatement in what? Financial statement. Acha, say for example, you saw one company, your client has done 4% increase in plant, property and equipment. 4% increase, मतलब 4 times value कर दी. अब बताओ, is this something which is normal or abnormal? Abnormal. It means definitely you need a valuer in this case who can justify if this 400% increase is justified or not. 5%, 10%, 20% you can manage. 400% is too high. Right? What is the next thing? Quality control policies and procedures. So make sure that when you are hiring an auditor's expert, your QCPP should not get affected. What is QCPP? Expert should work under your QCPP. You should not allow the expert to use his what? QCPP, because he is not the one who is signing the audit report. You are the one who is signing the audit report. Next point is what? Whether the management has used the management expert or not. See this. If he has been engaged or employed in the past or not. By the whom? Management. And last one, availability of what? Alternate sources of AE. So say for example, you should not be too much dependent on one expert. If you think that your expert is not doing well and you have a skeptical mind, you were alert and you found some evidences, then make sure that his work you can get it tested by what? Another expert. Tell me the 7 things you need to keep it in mind before using. Significance, auditor's knowledge, nature of matter, risk of material misstatement, QCPPs, management has used that expert or not, and last but अच्छा ये बताओ, हाँ एक बहुत important point, management expert can be of 2 types, engaged and employed. What is the difference between the two? Whose work you may think of using? Engaged one. Never use a work of what? Difference समझ में आया? Engaged and employed में. One is salary based, one is what? Fees based. Fees based is more better choice than a what? Salary based. Salary based is nothing but the puppet of the management. Next one. Factors affecting whether to appoint an auditor expert or not depends upon the following factor. What is the first one? Experts related points. What do you mean by expert? Acha, let's say for example, I'm an auditor of ONGC and I wanted to know that what is the digging capacity of that company to the seabed to take out the crude oil. Is it looking a little bit more technical? So what do I expect when I hire an expert? Should I provide him the team or he should have his own team? Should I tell him the capabilities or he should have them? Should I provide him the equipments or he should have? That is what the point number 1. And make sure that that expert is nothing but what? First of all, though, try to use management's expert. Again, I'm telling, try to use which expert? But check these 2 points. What are these 2 points again? Is he engaged or employed? Agar to employed hai to stop using it. Or if he is what? Engaged, you may use it. Move to the next point. Management expert related points. Check that whether the management expert is under the which control? Management control. Can management exercise control or influence on the expert's work to get the which results? Favorable. If the answer is yes here, immediately stop using the work of which expert? Manage expert. Next one. Work related. check out the nature, scope and objective of management expert, whether the management expert follows PET or not. What is PET? देखो सर, हर एक प्रोफेशन के अपने अपने पेट होते हैं. अपने पेट क्या है? इंडियस, एएस, am I correct or not? Quality assurance, QCPPs, these are our pets. So, say for example, if you are taking the LLB's advice, LLB is having its own professional, ethical, technical standards or not? Yes, to ensure that they are using it or not. So, first of all, in the first 3 points, you are not hiring your expert. You are thinking of using whose expert? Management's expert. Now, what to be considered while selecting your expert now? CCO. What is CCO? Competence, capabilities, objectivity. What is objectivity? He should be impartial and unbiased. Capabilities मतलब उसकी खुद की टीम होनी चाहिए. He should know the importance of time. He should have the proper equipments. That is called what? Capability. What is this one? Competence. He should have a proper knowledge, gone through the training. He should have the adequate expertise in doing that. So what is CCO required? 600 में CCC required था. 610 में भी CCC required था. यहाँ पे CCO required है. What is CCO? Competence, capabilities, objectivity. Important considerations while evaluating the CCO. Is he following any legal regulatory requirement with respect to his work or not? Any license or accreditation he has or not? Whether expert follows his PET or not? Let's say for example, LLB से आप क्या पूछोगे? Show me your license from Bar Council. Correct? आप और एक्सपर्ट से क्या पूछोगे? मतलब लेट्स से फॉर एग्जांपल बीटेक से क्या पूछोगे? बीटेक की डिग्री. करेक्ट. एमबीए से क्या पूछोगे? एमबीए की डिग्री. एंड बी आर्क से क्या पूछोगे? बी आर्क की डिग्री. एक्चुअल साइंटिस्ट से एक्चुअल. एवरी एक्सपर्ट हैज इट्स इंस्टीट्यूशन. लाइक आवर इंस्टीट्यूशन इज व्हाट? आईसीए. वैसे इंडियन एक्चुअल साइंटिस्ट ऑफ इंडिया, आईसीए, समथिंग लाइक दैट, देयर इंस्टीट्यूट इज आल्सो देयर. So something recognized accreditation or degree must be there. And are they using their what? PET or not? These are the 3 things you have to see before using before hiring the whom? Audit as expert. Next one. Sometimes experts' competence may become what? Irrelevant. What is the point number 1? Unexpected event. What do you mean by unexpected event? तुमने expert को hire किया to check out the depth of the drilling of seabed. Am I correct or not? In the ONGC company. But say for example, he was doing something, but unexpected technical issue has come, which is beyond his control also. Now tell me, is this expert relevant to you or now? Irrelevant. Irrelevant. What is the point number 2? Changes in condition. You hired him to do the work, but unfortunately, under the seabed, pressure of the water became suddenly very high. High tides have started coming. He is unable to do the work. Is he relevant now or irrelevant? Irrelevant. What is the third thing? Audit evidences obtained by the expert is contradictory to the auditor's opinion. What I told him, he didn't understand. He brought me something else. Is his work relevant or irrelevant? Irrelevant. So what are the 3 circumstances under which his work becomes relevant? Irrelevant. Unexpected events have happened. Changes in conditions. Audit evidence obtained. Next one. Evaluation of significant threat to his what? Objectivity. Point number 1. Audit procedure. Inquire about the expert's relationship with what? Entity. What do you mean by expert relationship with the entity? Why did you work earlier somewhere with this entity or not? Did you have any relationship or do you have any family member working in the company or not? Point number 1. Second thing, discuss with the expert whether safeguards are being applied to reduce this. He bola, sir, one of my cousin is working. Then I asked him, what did you do to reduce this risk to the which level? देखो, when we see the risk, what do? We can't eliminate it, but at least we can what? Reduce it. मैंने कहा, what did you do when you came to know that your expert is working? Why did you accept my acceptance? He said, sir, I did these procedure to reduce it to the which level? Lowest acceptable level. The moment you see me anything talking to him or getting any help from him, you are allowed to throw me out. Am I correct? Okay, I said okay. Then next one, examples of what? Interest threat, financial interest threat, business relationship threat or services by expert to the what? Entity. Please tell me, 6 months back you worked in that entity and today you are my expert. Which kind of threat you have? Self-review threat. Are you getting the point? To discuss about his what? Threats. And next one, for such situations, auditor shall obtain what? WRL from the expert about his interest and relationship. Tell him, don't tell me orally. Tell me every possibility of threat you have and put it in what? writing and give what? WRL to me. I will keep it in my documentation. Next one. Two situations may arise. Situation number one. Auditor may see the threats to the objectivity, but he thinks that safeguards like more supervision, evaluation, and time can reduce the threat. Situation number two. Threats cannot be reduced to the acceptable level. Example, work for which expert was hired was prepared and done by the expert itself. That is self-review threats. देखो दो तरह की situation होती है. Situation number one. There is a threat came, but you think that your DRS can reduce this threat. What is DRS? अगर आप अपने एक्सपर्ट के ऊपर थोड़ा अपना डायरेक्शन, रिव्यू, सुपरविजन मोर कर दोगे, तो दिस थ्रेट कैन बी व्हाट? रिड्यूस. But there is another situation where you think that self-review threat is there. Which review? So your DRS will won't work. Better to replace this expert with what? Another expert. Two possibilities. Either you can continue or you have to discontinue. When you can continue? By applying more DRS. When you have to replace him? When applying more DRS is of use or no use? No use. Simple. Next point. Obtaining understanding on the field of what? Expert. Now, sufficient understanding is required before the expert starts his work. Determine the nature, scope, objective of the work which should be done by the expert and activities which can be done to obtain understanding. Such activities can sometimes give so much understanding that auditor himself may work without what? Expert. That's what I was telling you. Check that for what purpose you are hiring an expert. If you think that it is completely technical in nature, you may continue with what? Expert. But if you think that it is less technical and by spending some more time, you can also understand that much of technicality, then it's better that do the work by your own. Did you understand what I'm saying? So let's say, for example, cost audit. Do you think that the CA can't understand cost audit? Or can understand? We bloody have section number 148 for that. Half of the cost audit we know. So do you think that you mandatorily have to hire a practicing CMA to do it? Or you may also understand the technicalities. Let me ask you one thing. What is reorder level of quantity? What do you mean by inbound logistic? The transport services which the company generally uses to bring in the raw material to the factory. अब तुम्हें पता ना technicalities? You know na reorder level is the minimum quantity which the company has to maintain to continue its production. So do you think that these are alien words to you? Or little bit extra hard work can make you understand it? So you need not use the work of what? Expert. When you should do it? After the expert is hired? After the expert started the work or before he started? वही तो लिखा हुआ. Read the whole sentence. What is this? Starts from him. Before expert starts his what? Work. Determine his nature, scope and objective and activities which can be done to obtain understanding. Such activities can sometimes give so much understanding that auditor himself may work without what? Expert. Or after the expert starts his work to evaluate the adequacy of the work done by expert. This is pre-planned, matlab before starting, and this is what? After starting. Next point. Past experience of the auditor himself of the auditing such entities which requires such what? Expertise. Say for example, 11 years back, I did the audit of one leather industry. Which industry? And after 11 years, again, I got one leather industry audit. Do you think that you need an expert or you need to polish some recent developments? सिर्फ polish करने की जरूरत है. You don't hire an expert in that case because you already have a which experience? Past experience of doing the same. You need or you don't need the expert. What is the second case? Past experience of the other auditor or the partner who has performed similar engagement with this expertise is what required. Suppose some area came where I am not an expert, but my partner has an expertise in that. Now please tell me, do I need to hire an expert? Or I can sit with my partner and understand the technicalities. Understand it. What is the third thing? Obtain understanding from the education and professional development of this particular field. This may include formal courses discussed with individuals who possesses expertise in what field. If you think that you are eligible to do that course and you have enough time to do that particular work, get yourself qualified first. Are you getting the point? In case you think that that qualification will really help you in future and you can do it, get it qualified. अब मेरे को ये बताओ, मैं IP क्यों कर रहा हूँ? What is the reason I am doing insolvency professional? I can simply hire an advocate to help me in liquidating the company. Suppose I have lot of assignments in my hand. People are hiring me as a liquidator, but bloody I am not a liquidator. I have to hire a whom? advocate who will help me in liquidation. 50% मेरे को फीस शेयर करनी पड़ रही है. When I know that insolvency professional, अपने को CA final में है IBC. When you know that insolvency professional, a little bit if I'll put more effort, I can become insolvency professional. Do I have to hire an advocate from tomorrow onwards? No. Why don't I give the exam? Get the qualification. And I can save my 50% of the fees also, which I'm sharing with that liquidator. I myself will do the assignment and will do the things. If it is like pharmacy sector, which sector? Do you think that I can become a doctor? बहुत difficult है. Correct है नहीं है? So in this case, you definitely have to hire a what? Expert. Are you understanding what I'm trying to tell? So what are the 3 circumstances under which you don't need an expert? When you yourself had a which experience? When your other partner is having a past experience, or you think that you can obtain the professional knowledge by doing the needful course. You don't need an expert in this case. Next point, written agreement with what? Expert. Tell me how many written agreements we had in 610? 2. One with whom? One with whom? Here one with the whom? Expert. In that we'll specifically define these areas. What is the area number 1? Objective. Objective का मतलब क्या होता है कि why you have been hired for? You have been hired for checking the width, depth, quality or what? Valuation. Define as objective. कि this is your scope. This is your objective. This is the purpose for which you have been hired with. Second thing is what? Nature of the work. Tell him that what he is supposed to do. Suppose you told him you have to come with me to ONGC. He said, okay, I'll come. But you didn't tell him that you have to go to the seabed of 500 meters down. He will say, I am a hydrophobic person. Now please tell me. उसको तो हार्ट अटैक आ जाएगा पहली लेयर देखते ही. His atma will meet with what? Did you tell him his nature of work? So define. So what are the 2 things you have to define? Objective clearly. Nature of work clear. कि you have to go into the seabed, dive deep into the sea, see where the drilling machine is drilling properly or not. उन्होंने बोला that तो I have seen in dreams, not in reality. So sorry boss, I can't do. The third thing is what? Scope. What you can do, what you can't do. Clearly defined. कि भैया this is your Lakshman Rekha. You can cross or you can't cross. Can't cross. Tell me the 3 things we have defined in written agreement. Objective, nature, scope. What is the next one? Roles and responsibility. Team is yours. Competence is yours. Equipments are yours. You just have to report me. This is your role and responsibility. Don't expect me to bring you the drilling machine. Why you are an expert? Why should I keep a JCB? Am I correct? As a CA, मैं कार पार्क करूँ या JCB पार्क करूँ घर में? Correct है नहीं है? I don't need a what? Equipments. Next one is role and responsibility of. तो जैसे हम अपनी ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट में मैनेजमेंट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, ऑडिटर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, नाउ इट इज योर रोल, इट इज माय रोल. व्हाट इज माय रोल? Whatever the information you want, you let me know. I'll arrange it from whom? Management. Second thing, to get permission to access some things with the management is not allowing you. And what is my role? Request management to send the what? Data requirements. Next one, communication and what? Reporting. What are the timings you and me will meet? How we will meet? Our communication should be oral or in writing. What are the dates of communication? Weekly we have to meet or monthly we have to meet. All that will be decided under what? Communication and this thing, reporting. Am I correct? Next one, factors leading to the more detailed engagement. Make sure that he should not have worked previously with what? Expert. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by not previously worked with expert? Why? How this factor will help you in deciding the expert? Achha, do you have to think twice if you have worked with someone before? Do you have to think twice if you have worked with someone before? You need not think twice. Either yes or no. Immediately will come the answer. Na? When you have to think. When you are hiring the old expert or new expert? New expert. What is the next one? Difference between roles and responsibility as compared to what? I told him this you have to do, this you have to do. He's saying no sir, I will do this, I will do this. Now tell me, is his wavelength and my wavelength matching or mismatching? Mismatching. What is the next one? Extent of the work of an expert is more and what? Significant. Expert have an access to the sensitive and what? अच्छा फिर क्या बताओ तुम्हें याद है क्वालिफाइड असिस्टेंट पीयर रिव्यू दे साइन व्हाट document of what? Does he have to sign the same with me? Please tell me one thing. Is he a part of management team or auditors team? In future, after 1 year of work, will he be a part of my team? No. But does he have to maintain confidentiality throughout? Yes. He cannot tell how he did found the evidences to the home management by saying that Rohit sir, I'm no longer your expert, let me vomit it out. Can he say that? Or he has to enter a confidentiality. Like we maintain for our client, he has to maintain for me. Right? Next one. Multi-jurisdictional legal and what? Regulatory requirement and work is what? Highly complex. These are the various circumstances you have to think before hiring an expert. Next one, evaluation of whose work. अच्छा ये बताओ, when you are hiring an expert, how you will evaluate the expert's work? By hiring another expert. Question is बहुत simple है. You are hiring an expert because you are good or not good in that field. तो how you will evaluate his work? देखो सर ऐसा है, practically बता रहा हूँ, hiring an expert doesn't mean that you don't know that area. It's just that you don't have expertise in that area. You have a knowledge of that area, but you are not possessing a what? Expertise. So whatever he is doing, you can't think that he can easily make a fool out of you. You are a bloody chartered accountant. For the last 5 years, you have seen thousands of faces. You know how to tackle the people. That is one of your personal quality also called behavioral sciences. तुम्हें पता होता है कि when the person is telling a lie or not. You are a financial literate person. So nobody can easily make a fool out of you. Even if you are completely away from that field, that doesn't mean that he will. Ultimately, though, he is speaking English or Hindi only, na, or Telugu. He will not change chang ching cha ho deepa oh क्या वो तो इंग्लिश में ही बोलेगा ना. Deep diving, I have done this much of deep diving up to 600 meters. 600 meter means 600 meter, whether it is in CA or whether it is in his expertise language. So that much of alien thing to won't come to you, na. You are unable to understand it. So that is how you will evaluate. What is the first thing you will evaluate? His source. Always check his source data. Imagine source is the main base of every work. हमने कल भी बात करी थी SAP पे. Do you remember substantive analytical procedure में? What are the two things which are more important? Data and availability of data. Availability of data and reliability. And reliability का biggest factor is what? Source. Always check the sources of what? Experts. What is the second thing? Assumptions and method. हम लोग देखते थे ना डिमांड एंड सप्लाई इकोनॉमिक्स में. All things are being constant. When the quantity demanded rises, the price will automatically rise. वो अपन cost of capital chapter करते हैं. Financial management, KDKE वाला. So many assumptions will take. Same way, expert will take the assumptions. So you have to check his what? Assumptions. Are they genuine or not? What is the first thing you are checking his? So second thing is what? Third, checks his what? Findings and conclusion. While checking his findings and conclusion, if you get susceptible, little bit of suspicion you are getting, ki I don't think so that his data is matching with my understanding, then you have every right to get it reviewed and checked by hiring another expert. You never know, sir, he might have got corrupted or bribed while doing the work under you. Correct, Anian? So you can't blindly use whose work? Expert's work. What are the three things you need to verify? Source, assumptions and methods he has used. Finding. Source में क्या check करना है? Completeness, accuracy, relevance. यहाँ पे क्या check करना है? Relevance, reasonableness. यहाँ पे what do you have to check? Relevance, reasonableness, consistency with other what? Audit evidence. Simply think that if his things are looking normal, okay, continue. If you think that little bit of abnormality is he's completely giving the over the board result or completely opposite to my expectation, then you may think over it and get it reviewed by hiring another expert. Because ultimately you will add the expert's fees to your audit fees only. Ultimately, you will charge this to whom? Client only. Are you getting the point? So you don't have to worry about that cost. And always remember, ये तो 100% truth है. Cost, time. Cost and time should never come in your way of doing the audit. You should never think about it. कि मेरे को cost लग रहा है, मेरे को time लग रहा है, let's do it fast. Never. That literally affects your effectiveness. And मैंने कल भी बताया था, what is more important in efficiency and effectiveness? Effectiveness is highly important than what? efficient. Take some time, no problem. Spend some more money, no problem. But at the end of the day, don't do injustice with those users who are waiting for your signature for the sake of your timing and cost. So time and cost should never be the barrier in your profession, right? Next one. If the expert was hired to evaluate, if the, acha, ye wala point padho. Is it suitable for the specialized model when you are hiring an expert or not? If the expert was hired to evaluate assumptions and methods of management, check to examine the methods and assumptions of a management. हम लोग expert को क्यों hire करते हैं? अब मैं तुम्हें एक question बता दूँ. Do you remember you came to me day before yesterday with that MCQ? What was written in that MCQ? कि auditor hired an expert to evaluate whom? Same line. Look at the line now. Expert was hired to evaluate what? Assumptions and methods of whom? Management. Management has taken some assumptions and used some methods. I am unable to understand it. That's why I hired a what? Expert. What is the expert's work? To make me understand whether their assumptions and methods are what? Correct or not. What is the second thing? If he was hired to develop a point or range or estimate for whom? Auditor. So there are two purposes of hiring the expert. One is you are hiring it to check management, and one is you are hiring it for your own purpose. And make sure that checks experts method and assumptions are as per 540. What is 540? Sir, expert भी तो क्या लेता है? Estimate ही तो देता है. Do you think that expert gives you the accurate figure or estimated figure? Estimate का मतलब क्या होता है? His assumptions are used, his sources are used, his method is used. So make sure that expert's work is not 100% genuine. But you don't have any option other than depending upon whose work? Expert's work. Next one. In case auditor evaluates that work is not what? Adequate. What he should do? Agree with that expert to do the what? Further procedure. If still concludes his work is inadequate, he can't resolve the matter, then better express which opinion? Modified opinion. What does that mean? You gave the work to the expert. She gave me the work. I didn't like it. I told her, will you please do more fabs for me? She did the more fabs, but still she is unable to resolve what? Matter. तो भैया better to give a which opinion? अब बताओ यहाँ पे modified का मतलब क्या है? What is the meaning over here? Either qualified or disclaimer लिखूं या adverse लिखूं? अब बताओ. She gave me a data. I didn't like it. I told her to do further fabs. She did the further fabs, but she was unable to resolve the matter. It means that data she provided me is not at all an evidence for me. Okay, am I using it or not using it? So disclaimer, simple. Q and D. What is Q and D? Qualified or disclaimer. Second place, or perform further auditors. By whom? Auditor. क्योंकि भैया this option got failed. Expert is useless fellow. Better to do it on your own. Reference to auditor's expert in auditor's para. Last para, please tell me. My question is very simple. Expert gave me unmodified opinion. Which opinion? On the basis of which I also gave what? Please tell me question number 1. Do I need to refer expert's work? Do I need to refer expert's name in my report? Yes or no? Why no? You are giving it on whose basis? Expert's work. Then why the hell you are not referring it? Law tells you it's your voluntary thing. It's your what? Voluntary. But there is nowhere obligation for you to mention the expert's work and expert's name, especially in case of which opinion? Unmodified. Ab suno second question. He gave modified opinion. He gave a which opinion? On the basis of which I also gave a which opinion? Modified. Ab batao, should I refer his name and work? Ab mandatory hai. Now mandatory why? Because who is the best person to make the users understand the meaning of those modifications? Me or an expert? Expert. So he's definitely have to attend the meeting and I definitely have to refer his name and work in my report. So tell me, when not required, when mandatory? If he's giving the unmodified report, then his work reference is not required. But when we are using his what? Work and giving a which opinion? Modified. Then mandatory to refer his name and work in my report because he's the best person to make the users understand the level of modifications. Is it clear? That brings an end to your which series? 600 series. 100%? Okay? Take a break. Come back. 11:30 तक आ जाओ जल्दी, 20 मिनट की ब्रेक ले लो। एंड करना क्या है ये भी बोल दो पहले। नाउ व्हाट टू डू, फिजिकल लॉस पढ़ेंगे, डन। ओ जल्दी जाओ। आने के बाद फिर पोस्ट लंच अपन करेंगे, अपन 400 सीरीज, हाफ एन आवर लगेगा दोनों स्टैंडर्ड। फिर अपन पढ़ेंगे पीएसयू का थोड़ा ओवरव्यू, ऑटोमेटेड का ओवरव्यू, सीएफएस का ओवरव्यू, छोटे छोटे टॉपिक्स जो भी अपने पैच वर्क पढ़ा हुआ है उसको पढ़ लेंगे, ठीक है। गो 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 सर, डोंट वेस्ट योर टाइम, गो। How was the movie? Anybody saw movie yesterday? Good movie, yeah? You saw it? Okay, okay. Sir, pause करो ना। Okay, so amendments and all, everything is fine ना? No problem. Amendments में small company amendment we covered, professional ethics, no clear, peer review, and relating to NBFC yesterday we covered layers, right? Base layer, middle layer, upper layer, and top layer. Clear, everyone? Okay, now let's proceed with this topic. The name of the topic, everyone, audit under which laws? Fiscal laws. And it has two ways of asking the questions. Nowadays, ICA has stopped asking you direct questions. Now they are putting these questions in the MCQs, right? So there are so many areas which you should understand about the fiscal laws. तो हम लोग इसके clauses में भी will approach and we will first understand. Most of the part क्या रहता है कि we leave this chapter in choice. The reason being very simple, because of the number of clauses. But let me tell you one thing, your 60% of the chapter other than clauses is more relevant than those clauses. There are so many other facts also which you are not even aware of what are being given in your audit under the fiscal laws. So quickly revise करेंगे पूरा, ठीक है? Let's do a stretch. Now, first of all, under that there are three types of audits will come. One are the non-tax audits, one are the tax audits, and one is the public trust audit. Public trust audit comes under section number 12A, exemption from audit from the following conditions. Now, if you are an auditor for public trust, so public trust need not get the audit done if the point number 1 is satisfied. Read the point number 1. Applied to the Commissioner of Income Tax within 1 year from the creation of trust, available from the previous year where the application is filed. तो अगर आपको Commissioner of Income Tax has given you the permission and given you the exemption, then you will not get what? Audited. Second thing, if your total income without considering the income of your investments under 11 and 12 is less than your basic exemption limit. So if your incomes are less than your basic exemption limit, then also audit is not required. Or second thing, you have been permitted or granted a permission by whom? Commissioner of Income Tax. You have made an application. But in case you are doing the audit of the public trust, then what is your audit program? What do you mean by audit program? What are your checklist you have to see? इसको अपन 4 parts में divide करते हैं कि when we are doing the audit of the public trust, these are the 4 things we have to do. What is the thing number 1? Preliminary checks. What do you mean by preliminary checks? Obtain the which copy? A resolution copy to understand the scope, objective and appointment of yours, and then take the which letter? Appointment letter. Then certificate on opening balances and closing balances. Then list of books what they have, certificate of accounting system and internal control system, and the copy of trust deed. ये हो गया आपका preliminary engagement activity. What do we call it as? What do you mean by preliminary engagement activity? Resolution का copy ले लो so that you can understand you have been appointed. Then take the appointment letter. Understand your objective scope. Understand their ICS. Understand their accounting system. Understand the list of books maintained by them. Then the list of opening balances and closing balances. And finally, a copy of which deed? Trust deed. From where you will come to know about the trust terms and conditions. जैसे अगर अपन partnership firm को audit करते हैं तो what do we ask? Partnership deed. Company को audit करते हैं तो MOA and AOA copy. Same thing we are doing it, but this is before execution. Now during the execution thing, you have actually entered into the client's place. Now इसको ध्यान से सुनना. It's very simple thing. First of all, do we do journal or not? जर्नल के बाद क्या होता है? लेजर. लेजर के बाद क्या होता है? ट्रायल बैलेंस. यहाँ पे भी यही हो रहा है. फर्स्ट वी आर वाउचिंग देयर व्हाट? ट्रांजैक्शन. चेकिंग देयर व्हाट? बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स. देन चेकिंग देयर व्हाट? ट्रायल बैलेंस. ट्रायल बैलेंस से क्या होता है? फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट. सिंपल. So what are the routine checkings you are doing? Transactions are within the ambit. What do you mean by within the ambit? The trust must not do any transaction beyond its what? Functions. It should be within its objects. Second thing, transactions done by the trust must be what? Authorized. Third one, incomes are properly accounted, expenses are properly recorded, funds are properly applied. Tell me the five things. रूटीन चेकिंग में, टेस्टिंग ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शन में अपन टीओटी कर रहे हैं. टीओटी में क्या कर रहे हैं? इनकम्स, एक्सपेंडिचर्स and the funds are being properly applied, transaction within the scope of the or ambit of the trust, and they are must be carried out in which way? Authorized way. So once we are done with the transaction, then we'll start checking their what? Books of accounts. Along with that, you have to check their what? Trial balance. Obviously, you will obtain the copy of trial balance, and finally, you have to check their balance sheet and P&L. So tell me, what is the routine checking? What we do in the normal audit is also same. So what are the five things you are doing? Four things you are doing here. You are checking that the transaction within the scope and ambit. Second, authorized. Incomes are properly recorded, expenditures are properly incurred, funds are properly applied, then obtain the books of accounts, then obtain the trial balance, and finally obtain their financial statement. The first step was preliminary, second is routine checking. Now third thing is what? अभी मेरे को ये बताओ, assertions क्या होती हैं? EOV are the balance assertions and CCAV are the what? TOT assertions. What is CCAV? Correctness, completeness, accuracy. अच्छा, assets में आप क्या चेक करोगे? EOV, existence, ownership, valuation. फिर liabilities में आप क्या चेक करोगे? NE, nature and extent. Is it a short term loan or a long term loan? Is it a secured or what? Unsecured. ठीक है. उसके बाद investments में भी आप क्या चेक करोगे? Investments are properly classified and valued. और debtor में आप क्या चेक करोगे? Their outstandings are properly accounted and provision for what? डाउटफुल डेट. चार तो टॉपिक है टोटल. व्हाट आर द फोर टॉपिक? हमने क्या वेरीफाई किए? एसेट्स, लायबिलिटीज, एंड देन इन्वेस्टमेंट्स एंड व्हाट? डेटर्स. व्हाट आर द फोर थिंग्स? एसेट्स, लायबिलिटीज, इन्वेस्टमेंट. एसेट्स में क्या चेक कर लिया? ईओवी, एग्जिस्टेंस, ओनरशिप, वैल्यू. लायबिलिटी में क्या चल लिया? नेचर, एक्सटेंट. इन्वेस्टमेंट में क्या चेक कर लिया? क्लासिफिकेशन, वैल्यूएशन. एंड व्हाट इज द लास्ट वन? क्या चेक कर लिया? आउटस्टैंडिंग बैलेंसेस आर प्रॉपर्ली अकाउंटेड और नॉट, एंड proper provision has been created or not. Finally अपन क्या करेंगे? Finally others में obtain the list of persons under section 13(3). ये कौन से person होते हैं? Those who have made a contribution or the donation to the trust exceeding 50,000. जिन लोगों ने ट्रस्ट को 50,000 से ज्यादा डोनेशन या वॉलंटरी कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन दी है, द कंपनी हैज टू प्रिपेयर वन लिस्ट ऑफ दोस पीपल अंडर सेक्शन नंबर 13 सबसेक्शन 3. तो ट्रस्टी को बोलो, गिव मी द लिस्ट ऑफ दोस बेनिफिशियरीज हु हैव दोस पीपल हु हैव मेड यू अ कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन एक्सीडिंग व्हाट? 50,000. देन एक्सप्लेनेटरी स्टेटमेंट एंड डॉक्यूमेंट्री. मतलब हम लोग क्या कलेक्ट कर रहे हैं? SAAE. व्हाट इज SAE? Sufficient and appropriate audit. And if the trustee says that, sir, there is no list under section 13 subsection 3, then make the note against the section number 2 and 3 and make sure that you are giving them the audit report in form number 10B. ये याद रख लो थोड़ा MCQ पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से. अब मैं बताओ पब्लिक ट्रस्ट का ऑडिट कैसे करते हैं. पहले तो ये बताओ when they are exempted. If they made an application of commissioner of income tax, or their total income except the income of the investments under their section number 11 and 12 is lower than what? Basic exemption limit. If they are going to get audit, what are the 4 stages of audit you are going to do? Preliminary, routine checking, then main trial balances and transaction checking, and last one is what? Others. Preliminary में क्या check किया? Resolution copy ली to check my objective, scope and responsibility. Second thing, appointment letter, list of books. Am I correct? List of books, then trust deed, then I check the opening balance and closing balance. ये हो गया मेरा preliminary. I opt AKOC भी हो गया, acquired the knowledge of whose business. अब ये अपन क्लाइंट के अंदर घुस गए. पहले क्या होता है? ट्रांजैक्शंस फिर चेक करे, बुक्स फिर चेक करे, ट्रायल बैलेंस फिर चेक करा क्या? बैलेंस. क्या किया ट्रांजैक्शंस में? इनकम्स आर प्रॉपरली recorded or not, expenditures are properly incurred or not, records are investment funds are properly applied or not within the scope, authorized transaction. नीचे क्या गया? सेकंड हमने उसका क्या लिया? बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स, वो वेरीफाई कर लिया. फिर क्या वेरीफाई किया? ट्रायल बैलेंस, वो भी वेरीफाई कर लिया. नेक्स्ट बैलेंस शीट. बैलेंस शीट के अंदर अभी थर्ड स्टेप क्या किया? फर्स्ट एसेट्स. एसेट्स में EOV, एग्जिस्टेंस, ओनरशिप, वैल्यूएशन. देन सेकंड liabilities, nature and extent. Third, investment, classification and valuation. What is the next one? And last में क्या किया? I asked the list under section 13 subsection 3. उन्होंने बोला लिस्ट नहीं है, make a note of it. and give them the audit report in form number what? 10B. Easy. That is called audit of what? Public trust. Next, audit of accounts with respect to 35D and 35E. What is 35D? Preliminary expenditures incurred by the company before the incorporation or before commencement of its business activities. Uska audit karna. And what is 35E? If the company is involved into the extraction of minerals. Are you getting the point? So what is section 35D? Preliminary expenditures incurred before the commencement of business of audit allowed to be amortized once the business is what? Commenced. And section 35E में what we have to check? Manner in which the deductions are allowed on expenditures on operations relating to certain specified minerals. इसमें पूरे audit में only one thing you have to remember, the form number. What is the form number? अब बताओ public trust का form number क्या था? हाँ 10B. इसका 3AE. Again repeat. उसका क्या था? 10B. इसका क्या है? 3AE. नेक्स्ट आता है अपना मेन ऑडिट. व्हाट इज द मेन ऑडिट? टैक्स ऑडिट. अब टैक्स ऑडिट के अंदर यू नो दैट सम ऑफ द अमेंडमेंट्स, रीसेंट अमेंडमेंट्स हैव कम. प्लीज टेल मी व्हाट शुड बी योर टर्नओवर मोर देन 1 करोड़. उसे कौन सा टर्नओवर बोलते हैं? बिजनेस टर्नओवर, प्रोफेशनल टर्नओवर. एंड प्रोफेशनल टर्नओवर शुड बी मोर देन 50 lakhs. अमेंडमेंट क्या था कि 1 crore has been increased to what? 10 crores. But make sure that your 95% of the transactions must have been carried out via which channels? Banking channels. Am I correct? It means maximum 5% should be in the cash transactions. Then in that case, your limit will become from 1 crore to what? 10 crores. But professional turnover के limit is more than what? 50 lakhs. 44 AE goods carriage में 44 AE BB के केस में claims income to be lower than deemed presumptive. What do you mean by presumptive income, by the way? When you are giving a set percentage of income to be declared on which tax will be applicable, it means you need not prepare the books of accounts. But in case you are claiming that ki my income is less than what? Presumptive income. In that case, you may get what? Audit. You have to get it what? Audited. Or else either, जैसे हम लोग प्रोफेशनल्स हैं, हम लोग अपनी इनकम 44 एडी के अंदर डिक्लेयर कर दे, एडीए के अंदर, राइट है ना? हम लोग 8% देने को रेडी हैं भाई. आर यू गेटिंग द पॉइंट? थोड़ा इनकम तो ज्यादा ही होता है, बट क्या करना, 8% दे देंगे. थोड़ा उससे ज्यादा क्या होता कि एटलीस्ट वी डू नॉट हैव टू हैव दैट प्रॉब्लमेटिक एरिया ऑफ मेंटेनिंग द वर्ड books of accounts and getting, otherwise P&L banao, balance sheet banao, this and that. But some chartered accountants do prepare balance sheet and P&L if they have the good office and big offices in nature where they are paying a lot of money. कई बार तो I have seen some CA's balance sheet where they have written that articleship stipend is 3,75,000. कर देते कई लोग book. So many people will book it. And when I went to their office, 2 articles are there. मैंने कहा अच्छा, you are paying 30,000 rupees to each article per year. हाँ? तो क्या होता है, थोड़ा फेक हो जाता है. इट्स बेटर है कि डोंट गेट इन्वॉल्व इनटू दोस थिंग्स. एडीए में डिक्लेयर करके खत्म करो, राइट? नेक्स्ट वन, 44 एडीए claimed is income lower than the which income? Deemed income. When the income is if the income is more than what? Basic exemption limit. But if you want to declare that my income is below what? Basic exemption limit, then you have to get it what? Audited. Next one, 44 AD if the, अच्छा ये 44 AD में क्या होता है, ये ध्यान से लाइन पढ़ना, क्या लिखा हुआ? If claimed in some years and then you did not get cover under 44 AD. Say for example, first you were giving the presumptive income. Suddenly you thought that, yeah, let me prepare the books of accounts. So 3-4 years तक तुमने you did not opt for the presumptive income. What is the answer? Can't opt for 44 AD again for the next word 5 years. That is a ban. If you are using the 44 AD का presumptive income and in between 1 year you stopped using it, then for the next what? 5 years, the stop was, you are not allowed to do it. You can't, whenever you want ADA, presumptive, and whenever you want books of accounts. ऐसा नहीं होगा. Either fully, continuously follow it. The moment you stopped it, then again you want to follow it, you need to wait for how many years? 5 years. Next one, tax audit under section 44AB does not apply to 44B and 44BBA. ये याद कर लो sections. What is the name? 44B, 44BBA. What is 44B? NRIs involved in which business? And 44BBA, aircraft businesses done by whom? NRIs. 44AB applies to individuals, HUFs and what? Partnership firms, not LLPs, क्योंकि LLPs will come under the definition of body corporate. It does not apply to which income again? Unless turnover is greater than 1 crore. Now listen, if your business income is commission income and less than what? 1 crore, then in that case, 44AB is not applicable to you. But if your commission income is exceeding what? Sorry, turnover is exceeding what? 1 crore. Then in case, even if you are doing the commission business, 44AB is what? Applicable. मतलब तुम सोचो कि you are getting a commission of more than 1 crore in the form of turnover, मतलब your business is too big to understand. Therefore, boss, tax audit will become applicable. So my question number 1, is tax audit applicable to individuals? LLPs? Businesses? Individuals? HUF? LLPs? Partnership firms? Commission income? Generally not covered, but when covered? What is more than 1 crore? Turnover, not income. Don't get confused in that. Turnover should be more than what? 1 crore. Next one. Deduction under section 80 IA, IB, IC. Assess claiming deductions under section. अच्छा इसमें भी आपको एक ही चीज पढ़नी है. Remember one thing. See, if you have already been audited under 80 IA, 80 IB and 80 IC, generally 44 AB is not applicable. But in case you want, you can get the separate audit done under 80 IA, IB and IC as well. Say for example, you are doing the business under 80 IA, 80 IB, 80 IC, and you already got the 44 AB done. But getting the 44 AB done sometime is not sufficient. If you think so, you can get the separate audit done also under 80 IA, IB and IC. So there is no harm in getting the two audit done for the same business. So read this point. Assesses claim deductions under these sections. 44 AB is applicable, but additional separate audit report for claiming such deduction is also required. तो ये छोटे छोटे पॉइंट्स है, मैं तुम्हें बताता हूँ. मोस्टली अपन कॉन्सेंट्रेट किस पे करते हैं? क्लॉजेस के ऊपर, या क्लॉजेस में से क्वेश्चन आएगा. कितना आएगा मैक्सिमम? 4. चलो लेट्स से फॉर एग्जांपल यू लेफ्ट द 44 क्लॉजेस आल्सो, बट ये चैप्टर डिजर्व 7 मार्क्स. What are the remaining 3 marks of area where they will ask you this is the area before starting of what? Clauses. अब मैं तुमसे थोड़े questions पूछ रहा हूँ. What was the form number for that two businesses 35D and 35E? Huh? And public trust? Okay. If you want to give the presumptive income, audit required or not required? Huh? Pakka not required. Sure. Okay. What if you are claiming less than basic exemption? You are doing a business under 80 IB, IA, IB, IC. 44 EB तो applicable ही है. But to claim the deductions, you need to get it what? Separate audit done. Am I correct? Next one, tax auditor. Who can do the tax audit? Only and only a chartered. और ये word याद रखना. You have to mention it. गलती से भी यहाँ पे cost accountant मत लिखिए ना. Only who is allowed? Chartered accountant. Am I correct? Next one, same disqualifications which we have under 141 subsection 3. Only difference is, तुम्हें याद है अपना indebtedness का limit कितना था? एक था मोर देन 5 lakhs और एक था मोर देन 1 lakh. यहाँ पे दोनों ही मोर देन 1 lakh है. दैट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन IT एक्ट डिस्क्वालिफिकेशंस एंड अवर डिस्क्वालिफिकेशंस. अच्छा ये बताओ फेस वैल्यू ऑफ रिलेटिव कितना है? सेम है. गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज का इंडेप्टनेस कितना है? इन वेयर? कंपनी से. यहाँ पे 1 lakh है. एंड गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज का हो गया. ओके. गारंटीज एंड सिक्योरिटीज का इंडेप्टनेस कितना है? सेम हियर 1 lakh. तो व्हाट इज द चेंज यू फाउंड? The goods and services वाला जो indebtedness है, that was in Companies Act is what more than what? And here is what? 1 lakh. Simple. और अगर आप मल्टी स्टेट कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी एक्ट में जाओगे 1000 है वो. That is how much? 1000. But that is not in your like portion, so don't put a heavy thing on your brain because this is going to be too heavy for you. Right? So tell me the 3 limits, please. You are comfortable, Amma? Eat less cookies. Okay, so next one, internal auditor can be the tax auditor. Statutory auditor can be the tax auditor, but internal can't. Why? Because tax audit is also a statutory audit. Tax audit is also which audit? अच्छा हम company audit को statutory audit, why do we call it? Under the Companies Act. It's under the statute. Tax audit is under the which act? Income Tax Act. So that's why it is a statutory. And what is a common rule? Statutory auditor can't be the which auditor? Internal. So internal auditor can't be the which auditor? Tax auditor. But statutory auditor can be the what? Tax auditor. Next one. Communication with the which auditor? तुम्हें याद है what are the 3 points I told you? Mandatory where the communication is. What are the 3 areas where the communication with the previous auditor is mandatory? Audit related work, report related work, and the previous person was a chartered accountant. If you remember 3 words. What are the 3 words? Previous person was doing audit, replaced by you, mandatory. Previous person was hired for report, replaced by you, mandatory. Previous person was a chartered accountant, replaced by you, mandatory. तो मेरे को ये बताओ, if the tax auditor is being changed from 1 year to what? Another year. The new tax auditor must communicate it with the old. Otherwise, you are guilty under dash 811. What is 811? Clause 8, Part 1, Schedule 1. Is it clear, everyone? Okay. Next point. Removal of the, okay, now appointment always by the whom? Board of Directors. जल्दी से बताओ statutory auditor को कौन appoint करता है? Shareholders, members in the AGM. अपन subsequent की बात कर रहे हैं. Don't fall into first and all. Shareholders. Who appoints the cost auditor? Board of Directors. And who also appoints the tax auditor? Board of Directors. Are you getting the point? Next one, joint tax audit में it is allowed. Separate reports as per 299 is also allowed. What do you mean by 299 separate report? Let's say for example there are 7 joint auditors. 5 wants to give modified under 3CA 3CD and 2 wants to give what? Unmodified. Are there any agreement or disagreement? So majority wins. Correct? No, na? Can they give the separate report? Yes, but they have to introduce OMP paragraph in each other's report giving the reference to each other. My opinion will come in opinion paragraph, but other people's opinion will come in my which paragraph? OMP. Ki I am giving modified, but they are giving what? Unmodified. This is how you give the which report? Separate audit report. Same thing applies to the statutory audit as well. So 299 is applicable to the tax auditor as well as what? Statutory auditor. Next point. Removal of the tax auditor only on the which grounds? Reasonable grounds. Like he delayed in submission your what? Audit report. But you can't remove if he is giving the which report? Adverse report. Say for example, tax auditor is giving the adverse report. 3CD में उसने सब जगह negative, 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 negative डाल दिया. You are not happy with that. You will say, sorry boss, I can't accept your negative report. Please leave. Can you? Or there has to be a reasonable ground. Achha, what do you think that removing an auditor is just a piece of cake? I mean, very easy. बताना फिर प्रोसेस क्या था 140 का? कौन भेजेगा स्पेशल नोटिस? मेंबर्स. किसको भेजेंगे? कंपनी को. कंपनी क्या करेगी? बोर्ड रेजोल्यूशन और अप्रूवल ऑफ द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. फॉर्म नंबर ADT2. 60 डेज में EGM. EGM में स्पेशल. We have to give the special notice or copy to the outgoing. Opportunity of being heard. Either circulated or invited. 1 copy to NCLT. Needless publicity, defamatory, cancel. Pass the special resolution. Auditor stands what? Remove. Otherwise, this much with the process you have to follow. Am I correct or not? So better make sure that when you're removing the tax auditor, there has to be a which ground? Reasonable ground. Without any reasonable ground, you can't remove a which auditor? Tax auditor. Right? Achha, what is it a reasonable ground he failed to submit the report to you on time? थोड़ा delay ही तो हुआ, problem क्या है? Sir, if you delay na, company will suffer. You know the penalty. 0.5% of the turnover of 1,50,000, whichever is lower. That is a penalty on the company for non-submission of the which report? Tax report. समझ रहे हो? तो भैया उसका delay तुम्हें भारी पड़ जाएगा ना? So make sure that you should not delay in that, right? So that is a reasonable ground to throw you out. Otherwise, there is no reasonable ground. Next one. What is your ceiling limit, please? 60 tax audits for a CA or a practicing CA. And other than you, who can sign all? Your PP. Rule will remain same. Can single partner sign all the tax audit report? 10 partners means 600 reports can be signed by one. But he has to be your partner plus he should be in practice. Same point is applicable, right? Next one. Penalty for not getting the tax audit done on time. What is the penalty? 0.5% of the turnover or 1,50,000 whichever is. UDIN मैंडेटरी है किस ऑडिट रिपोर्ट में? पक्का टैक्स ऑडिट में भी यूडीआईएन चाहिए. यस, यूनिक डॉक्यूमेंट आइडेंटिफिकेशन नंबर. नेक्स्ट वन, टर्नओवर. व्हाट इज द डेफिनेशन ऑफ टर्नओवर? अब मैं तुम्हें बहुत सिंपल वे में बताता हूं. The definition of turnover is quite huge given in your ICA material. Big lines, everything is being given. I will make it pretty short for you to understand it. If they will ask you the turnover ka definition, you simply have to see following are to be what? Subtracted. What is the first thing? Only when if the discount is shown in the which invoice? Sales invoice. ये हमेशा याद रखना rules. Discount allowed when to be subtracted? Only when the discount allowed is written in the sales invoice. Second thing, cash discount. Only when if the cash discount is also given in what? Sales invoice. अगर आप personally लेते हो ना cash invoice and it is not mentioned in what? Sales invoice. Then in that case, it is not allowed, boss. It has to be present in the which invoice? Cash invoice. Next one, turnover discount. If it is in the nature of which discount? Trade discount. So tell me the three discount ka provision. First one, discount allowed to be mentioned in sales invoice. Second one, to be mentioned in. Third, turnover amount. It should not be in the form of cash discount. It should be in the form of trade discount. Next one, special rebates and discounts. Again, it should all again be in the nature of what? So 2 points into the invoice, 2 points into the trade discount. What are the 2 points into invoice? Discount allowed, cash discount. What should be in the nature of trade discount? Turnover discount and special rebate. Sales return, that I already told you in the Caro also. Sales return of that year only you have to subtract, or any year? Any year sales return you can subtract. But what is this? Special turnover. Sales of any shares, securities, fixed assets only if it is held in the form of what? What does that mean? You are simply selling one asset and you got some money. Will it be counted in your turnover? No. But if you had left, if you have series of assets like that, and these assets were not in the fixed assets form, they were in like an inventory to you, then in that case you are selling that. That will be treated as a turnover. Are you getting the point? Let's say for example, I have one house property and I'm a real estate agent for whom house property is an asset, for whom it is an inventory. For the real estate person, it is an inventory. For him, it will be treated under what? Turnover. But for me, it will not be treated as my what? Turnover. Did you get the point? So these are the 7 points you have to keep it in mind while understanding the definition of the word called turnover. Next one. In case of which business? Speculative business on a transaction. Only difference between the buying and selling of the transfer amount to be treated as what? Speculative. अच्छा ये बताओ speculative business होता क्या है? Anybody knows how to deal in intraday trading? कोई करते? आप करते हो intraday trading? हाँ? कमाया कभी? और lost also? Loss तो is always higher than profits only. Okay, tell me, what do you do in intraday trading? Morning you do it, by evening you have to square it. Am I correct or not? Do you take the deliveries or you do the margin based? You, whatever the difference between the buying and selling that comes in your account and this gets debited from your account. That is what na. So what is the difference? What is the point written here as well? In case of speculative business, what is your turnover? It's not your selling. The difference between what? Buying and selling of the transaction amount to be treated as which turnover? Speculative. It's not the selling. It's the difference between buying and selling. What you earned, that is your what? Turnover. जनरली हम लोग टर्नओवर को रिलेट करते हैं सेल से. तो इट इज नॉट ओनली सेल्स, द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द सेल्स एंड परचेज शुड बी ट्रीटेड एज योर व्हाट? टर्नओवर. आईसीडीएस कहाँ गया वो? हाँ, एक बंदा था वो, कहाँ है दाढ़ी वाला? चला गया. वो आईसीडीएस की याद है? आईसीडीआर एलओडीआर में कल मैं पढ़ा रहा था तुम्हें. एंड व्हाट इज आईसीडीएस एवरीवन? इनकम कंप्यूटेशन. हाउ मेनी इन नंबर? 10. Are you getting the point? And can anybody tell me all 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just make sure that एक से दो बार वो लिस्ट पढ़ के जाना. Just read the list out. You don't have the application of those standards, but just read the list, right or not? Now, what is ICDS main focus is upon? Can you read this point? It stresses and focuses is on method of computation, not method of accounting. ये आपको ये नहीं बताते कि आपको कौन सा अकाउंटिंग ऑप्ट करना है. ICDS tells you what should be the method of your computation. The stress is not on accounting. The stress is on computation. Second thing, 45 subsection 1. It is applicable on these two types of incomes. What are the two types of income? PGBP, IFOS. What is IFOS? Income from other sources. Right or not? 4145 subsection 2 क्या बोलता है? Applicable to assesses except individual HF who are not required to audit it under what? What is the meaning of that? If I am an individual having a turnover of more than what? 1 crore. Am I audited under 44AB? So ICDS is applicable on me kind of assesses as well. But my income is 80 lakhs in business. Am I required to be audited? I am exempted to under the application of ICDS. Did you get the point? So point number 1. What is the major focus of ICDS? Is it on method of accounting or method of computation? And then applicable on which two incomes? PGBP, income from other sources. Third, which kind of assesses gets covered under that? All types of assesses except individual and HUFs who are not going to get audited under section 44AB. Now tax audit report तो तुम्हें पता ही है 3CA, 3CD, 3CB, 3CD, when and when. When the combination of CA comes with CD and CB comes with CD. If you have already been audited under any other statutory law, so then it would be CA and CD. And if you are only going to get audited under tax, then in that case CB, and generally for the companies we use CA and CD. For the partnership firms, sole proprietorship firms, we use CB and CD. So that's the idea you have. What is CA? Audit report. CB is also what? बट दोनों में डिफरेंस पता कभी? ये है मेजर डिफरेंस. हाँ, नहीं, आई एम नॉट आस्किंग द डिफरेंस बिटवीन CA एंड CD. आई एम आस्किंग द डिफरेंस बिटवीन CA एंड CB. कि CA report and CB report both are tax. See, 3CD form is not tax audit report. 3CD form is certification. It's a certificate on 44 clauses. Report is 3CA or 3CB. What is the difference between 3CA and 3CB? That I am asking. Huh? Okay. The major difference is in the 3CA, you can simply attach the audit report or the financial statements audited by your statutory auditor. Am I correct? But 3CB mein, you can do only the tax audit when the statutory audit is done. So it means you have to give the declaration that not only you have done the tax audit, you have also done to an extent the which audit? Statutory audit. देखो 3CA में you have available statutory audit report, but 3CDB में you don't have available statutory audit report. क्योंकि tax audit can only be done if which audit is already over? Statutory audit. So even if those partnership firms and sole proprietorship, even though they don't require to get statutory audited, but to do their tax audit, we have to first do their what? Statutory. And that becomes the extra responsibility on the whose shoulder? Tax auditor. So tax auditor has to behave like a what? Statutory auditor as well as a what? That is a problem with the CB. So CB में आपका थोड़ा burden extra हो जाता है. Did you get the point? That is a major difference between CA and CB. And rest, what you have said is also fine. CA may we have to declare that you already got audited under some other statute. Now see, this is also audit report and that is also audit report. But the difference is this audit report, the auditor has to report that financial statement audited by him are what? True and fair. It means who does it? Tax auditor does it. Here, there is a possibility that statutory auditor is different and tax auditor is different. That is a major difference between 3CA and 3CB. See, 3CD के auditor is required to give his opinion whether the particular furnished by the assessee are true and correct. दोनों में word में difference समझ में आ रहा? True and fair, true and correct. Here we are certifying, there we are expressing an opinion. So 3CD is never a report, it's an audit certificate. Clear? Now, along with 3CA, attach the copy of AFS and annual audit report given by the which auditor? Statutory. That's what I was telling you. You can attach it. But 3CB में you don't have something to attach. You have to do it. Right? Next one. हाँ ये वाले थोड़े facts हैं which you need to be very careful and read it slowly, little bit slowly. Read the point number 1. What is written? If the tax auditor is called upon to give his report only in respect of one or more business and the books of accounts of other businesses are not being produced, the tax auditor shall mention the fact that audit has not been conducted or those books of accounts whose books of accounts has not yet been produced. What does that mean? Suppose you have been hired by the organization to do the tax audit of such kind of business which is involved in multiple business. Say for example textile as well as what? Cement. So they gave you the cement ka books of accounts, financial statements, but they did not provide you the books of accounts and records relating to what? Textile business. So what is the fact you have to mention in your report? Ki boss, my report is only limited to which business? Because which is not provided to me? Textile. So I can't express the opinion on the same. But what is on the other side written? But if the financial statements includes the result of such businesses for which books of accounts has not been produced, the auditor shall qualify his report in the form number what? 3CB. What does that mean? देखो बहुत सिंपल सा थॉट प्रोसेस है. सेपरेट फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स इट्स फाइन, बट इफ इट इज clustered financial statements of both the businesses and one business information is provided to you and one is not provided to you, please tell me, is it a clear cut case of availability or non availability? तो नॉन अवेलेबिलिटी में आप अनक्वालिफाइड दे दोगे या क्वालिफाइड दोगे? क्वालिफाइड क्यों दे रहे हो? क्वालिफाइड, इज इट बेटर टू यूज द वर्ड कॉल्ड मॉडिफाई हियर और क्वालिफाई हियर? यहां पे तो क्वालिफाई लिखा हुआ है. पढ़ो ये क्या दिया हुआ है. रीड दिस पॉइंट. मैंने पहले बताया था, थोड़ा सा क्रिटिकल है, ध्यान से समझो. व्हाट इज रिटन? इफ द दो बिजनेसेस आर सेपरेट, no problem. The business for which information has been provided, you express an opinion. For which it is not provided, don't express it. Right? Simply write the fact that they have not given me, that's why I not expressed it. But what if they are making a financial statement cluster of both, mix of both? But now they are providing you partial information, but they are not providing the other information. अब क्या करोगे? तो यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ वर्ड क्वालिफाई. हियर स्पेशली इट इज बीइंग मेंशन्ड अंडर द एक्सप्लेनेशन. हियर वर्ड क्वालिफाई डज नॉट मीन क्वालिफाइड रिपोर्ट. हियर क्वालिफाई मीन्स मॉडिफाई ओनली. व्हाट इज द वर्ड यूज्ड हियर इज, if you think that the other's business information was material and pervasive, so you will give what? Disclaimer. Else you may give what? Qualify. यहाँ पे qualify का मतलब है don't unqualify it, just modify it. So don't be under the impression. यहाँ पे literal meaning नहीं है, reasonable meaning you have to give. Second point पढ़ो. Two exceptional cases with the 3CB required to be attached. Where the accounting year or the financial year is different, the audit report shall be in what? 3CB. Why? Read this fact. Can you please tell me the reason behind that? You are a company. I'm not saying non-company. You are a company. Generally, what is the form? 3CA, 3CD. But उस company में एक problem है. What is the problem? Their accounting year is different and financial year is different. Then in that case, instead of 3CA, you have to attach 3CB. Why? इसका लॉजिक बता दो बस. हाँ देखो अपना वो क्या है, व्हाट इज आवर डेट ऑफ डूइंग द टैक्स ऑडिट? 30th सितंबर. अपने को तो 30th सितंबर तक करना है. बट लेट्स से फॉर एग्जांपल फाइनेंशियल ईयर इज गेटिंग एंडेड ऑन 31st December. Suppose the company is following different financial year, there is no harm in that. You are following different financial year and that financial year gets over in, say for example, October. But your cutoff is what? September. Income Tax Act asks you to file the report by what? September. But unfortunately, statutory audit is being done or not done? अब लॉजिक सुनना मेरे से, स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट डन और नॉट डन, एंड विदाउट स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट कैन यू डू द टैक्स ऑडिट, पॉसिबल और नॉट पॉसिबल? अब मेरे को ये बताओ, ये टैक्स ऑडिटर को क्या करना पड़ेगा? व्हाट इज द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑन द शोल्डर्स ऑफ दिस टैक्स ऑडिटर? He has to do the statutory audit before the statutory auditor does it. And please tell me, what did I tell you when 3CB is required? When the tax auditor does both statutory audit and in case of companies also it is possible कि sometimes you might be ending up giving 3CB instead of what? 3CA. पहले मेरे को ये बताओ, लॉजिक समझ में आया? Obviously sir, अब I will wait. Achha, let's say for example, I'm waiting for the statutory auditor till 31st of October. Is my client going to get penalized with 5.5% of turnover of 1,50,000, whichever is lower or not? Why should my client suffer? Because of the different financial year and because of the statutory auditor not completed it yet. Are you getting the point? So in that case, what you will do? 11 months ka statutory audit you do up to 30th September. You only express an opinion on statutory audit. You only express the opinion on what? Tax audit. And instead of giving the 3CA now, you have to attach what? 3CB. Logic samajh mein aaya? Did you get the point? This problem will arise if their accounting year as well as financial year are same or different? Different. This is what I was telling you. These kind of questions will come in the examination. You will fail to answer. क्योंकि हम लोग हमारा कॉन्सेंट्रेशन कहाँ जाता है? 44 क्लासेज, अब मेन वो करना है. What about this thing? You never know. ICA generally knows the areas where you are weak, and they are going to ask you the question from that area only. And sometimes you will realize that what you have left came in the examination. Correct or not? So it means to then you start, spoiling your karma. Sir, yaar, shit, yaar, mera bad luck hai. Your bad luck is not. You have not done it. That's why it came in. Right? What is? अच्छा, एक और rule बताता हूँ. ये पढ़ो rule. With the delay in submission of what? Other law report. Again what? 3CB. Now there is no problem of financial year. Unfortunately, 30th September is about to come, but statutory audit is not done. अब क्या करें? No need to wait for what? Statutory audit. You only do the statutory audit to an extent possible. Again, instead of 3CA, give what? 3CB. Huh? Yes, very much obligatory. क्योंकि tax audit में the all 44 clauses में majority of my clauses are based upon what? Statutory audit. It is very much impossible for you to do the tax audit unless statutory audit is not completed. इसलिए मैं तुम्हें बताता हूँ, that is the major reason 99.99% of the cases में statutory audit itself is a what? Tax audit. क्योंकि दोनों उसकी पॉकेट में. अब उन्होंने क्या सोचता है? I will do statutory audit whenever I want because tax audit also I have to do. One day I will do statutory audit, next day I can sign what? Tax audit. Because both are same. But the problem comes when both the auditors are different. Ab, as a tax auditor, I can't wait for you to do your statutory audit. Na? What is my deadline? Even if you do statutory audit maximum little bit 1 or 2 months late, ROC के इतना tax penalty नहीं है. Income tax में है ना? My client will end up paying 0.5% of 1,50,000. Why should I wait for your delay? It is your problem. So I will do my extent. Instead of giving 3CA, I will start giving what? अब बताओ, what are the two circumstances under which you may end up giving 3CB instead of 3CA? If the accounting year and logic समझ में आया? If the accounting year and financial year are different, and if the statutory audit has been delayed. So in such cases, you don't have to wait. Simply you do it. But instead of 3CA, attach the which form number? 3CB. Is it clear, everyone? Next one. If the tax auditor is different from the which auditor, you may use SS 600. Why 600 is coming here? One auditor is using the work of what? Another auditor. Next one. Cross references. Say for example, out of 2 clauses, out of 44, they are referring to each other. Suppose 33 is saying, please refer to 21, and make sure that even if the 21 is not saying, please refer to what? 33, you write it there. So if the 2 clauses of the same audit report are having a cross reference to each other, refer in both the clauses. For the better detailed information, check 33. 33 में लिखो, for better detailed information, check what? 21. So write the cross reference on both the clauses instead of one clauses. ये थोड़े से extra guidelines hai, which you should know while doing the which audit? Tax audit. Read the next point. Difference in opinion between the tax auditor and assessee. Auditor shall state the both point of views and let the authorities decide. What does that mean? As a tax auditor, I have one point of view. Assessee is saying, sorry boss, I won't allow you. So first of all, he can't stop me. But at the end of the day, neither I'm going to decide you are wrong, nor you are going to decide I am wrong. Let who decide? Authority. Write both the point of views. My point of view is this. Assessee's point of view is this. Let the IT authority decide whose point of view is right. Don't be a judge at that point of time. Next point, clause not applicable. What is the word you have to use? NA. वो तो पता है अपने को. Applicable law. Audit is to be done as per the relevant year applicable, even though the form of audit report not what? Amended. What do you mean by that? Read this point. What is written? Audit to be done as per the relevant year applicable law, even though the form of audit report is not what? अब क्या होता है कई बार you all know that these are government departments. Am I right? Government departments are basically are very lazy people. They sometimes do not bring the forms at the right time. Let me tell you 2021 ka the blunder which the IT department has done. They shifted from portal 1 to portal 2. मेरे एक क्लाइंट को 9 times same refund आया. 9 times he got the same refund. 1,80,000 का. अरे मैं बोल रहा हूँ उसने मतलब he was on cloud 9. उन्हें मेरे पास आया कहता रोहित सर क्या करूं. मैंने कहा भाई चुपचाप वापस कर दे क्योंकि that might be a trap also. If they are giving the refund later on, if they will come up, obviously they will do the reconciliation. Am I correct or not? Being a government department, revenue of the government, and they will definitely summon you to return the money. Now, if you will utilize this 9 lakhs, 10, 20 lakhs, whatever the extra you got, then later on you have to refund it. So keep it aside. Let's wait for their summon and give it back. So far, though, it has not come. A problem kya tha? That was not a problem of income tax department. That was a problem of Infosys. They gave this web portal 2.0 project to whom? Infosys. That is the major reason 2021 ke tax returns went up to 31st December. Rather 5th January 2022 tak you were having a deadline to file the reports. Are you getting the point or not? The problem was not with the authority. Sometimes problem is with the web portal. अब उसके कारण क्या होता है कि make sure that कि suppose some changes have come. Are you getting the point? But their 3CD form which is available on the web portal of the incometaxefiling.gov.in that is not suitable enough for as per the amendments. So don't wait for the new form to come. You keep on doing your work. As per the applicable law is more important than the revised form. What is more important? Doing the work as per amended law is more important than waiting for what? Revised 3CD form. Clear? Next one. If there is a missing information, in case of missing information, auditor shall not withhold the total audit, rather qualify the report and proceed. Suppose you are asking the information, client not providing, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day. Don't wait. Leave that clause. Move to the next clause. Because at the end of the day, you make sure your duty is being performed properly on or before 30th September. Rather, if you're not getting the information, treat it as disclaimer. Either qualify or what? Disclaim. Next point, judicial pronouncement. Mention the fact that he has relied upon the judicial pronouncement in clause number 3 of CA or clause 5 of what? 3CB. अगर आपने किसी case law का help लिया है, if you have taken any help of what? Case law to put your judgment in the 3CA or 3CB form, make sure that give the source of information. Suppose I am using one particular case's information in giving the judgment, in expressing an opinion, bracket में लिख लो source. This is a case law between Mr. A versus Mr. B. Mention the judicial pronouncement on the basis of which you are expressing an opinion. ये थोड़े से guidelines हैं which you should know before starting our clauses. यहाँ तक समझ में आया? 100%? पक्का? Shall we start the clauses now? Okay. First 8 clauses who will tell? Out of 44. बहुत छोटे छोटे clause हैं. First clause, name, address, PAN, liability for any tax audit under what? Indirect taxes. Again repeat, what is the first one? Name. देखो यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा you should not expect me to tell you all the 44 क्योंकि 44 को sequence में याद करना is Little bit too mind-boggling, but we will try our level best to what extent we can. पहले ही lift. What sir? अच्छा, might be an expert in it. Okay. What is the clause number 1? Name, address, PAN, and if you have any liability to get the books of accounts audited under indirect taxes. Fifth one is what? Status. You are individual HUF for a company. Sixth one is what? Previous year. Then assessment year. Eighth one is what? Relevant clauses under which you are doing the special audits like business, profession, 44 AE, BB, BBB, 44 AD. Or 8A newly inserted. What is 8A? Whether the assessee has opted for a taxation under which scheme? 115 BA, BA, B, bad, B, B, ba, बाब, बाक, bad, bad बोल दो. Correct? This is 8A. And if the reply is no, if you have not opted under special scheme, then in that case, not required to take any which steps further. But if the reply is yes, then obtain the copy of form number 10 IB IC ID. Clear? अब बताओ फॉर्म नंबर्स क्या थे सारे. पब्लिक ट्रस्ट का 10B, उसका 3AE, इसका 10IB IC ID. IA नहीं है, गलती से भी मत लिख के आना ना वहां पे, IA. राइट है ना. अब बताओ इसके 5 सेक्शंस क्या थे. बा, बा, बाक, बाड, बाब. राइट. एंड फॉर्म नंबर्स क्या है. 10IB IC ID. Only if the reply is yes, then only you need to obtain this copy. तो बताओ total 8 clauses, you know. Tell me the 8 now. Name, address, PAN, under IDT, indirect taxes, then special scheme, ये वो सारे 44 ABAD वाले. Next, previous year, assessment year, and then if you are 8 के अंदर whether the assessee has opted for a taxation under this, then obtain 10B, 10C and 10 IB, IC, ID. Okay, 9. If the assessee is a partnership firm or association of person, then obtain the what? Name of the partners and the members, and if any changes in your members, partners and profit sharing ratio, obtain the information on changes. What is the 10th clause number? Nature of business. Nature of business, type and number of businesses or profession you are engaged into, and any changes in the previous year in any what? Business and profession. 10 to 1. नहीं एक काम करते हैं अपन कॉन्सेंट्रेट क्लॉजेस पे करते हैं, नहीं तो इसमें बहुत ज्यादा टाइम लग जाएगा. 44 है, ठीक है ना. तो 1, चलो एक बार बताओ 1 to 10. 7 क्या था. 7 assessment. 6 2 address. 3 4. तो 5 क्या था फिर. स्टेटस. 6 क्या था फिर. 8 A बा वाला, and 10 IB IC ID वाला. Then 9, if you are a partnership firm or a association of person, what is the name of your partners and person, any changes if any. And 10, nature of the business. 11, books of accounts. So whether maintained or whether it is maintained or not, and where it is kept, and if it is kept at the different locations, you have to keep the number of those locations and how many you have examined and checked. What are the 3 things you have to mention? Point number 1, whether maintained or not, where it is kept, obtain the list of such books and the number of places where it is kept, and how many you have examined and checked. What is 12th one? Presumptive income scheme. Whether the P&L includes any profits and gains on presumptive basis on sections 44 AD, ADA, AE, AF, B, BB, BBA, BBB. Amount of profit and loss debited toward P&L. You have to tell, because you have opted for a what? Presumptive income. So that's why you only have to mention the profit. Total 12 clauses. Tell me 12. नेम, क्योंकि दीज में अगर इनमें से कुछ आ गया तो एटलीस्ट समथिंग इज बेटर देन नथिंग। यू अच्छा, व्हाट इफ यू डोंट रिमेंबर द क्लॉज नंबर, क्या लिख के आओगे? एज पर द रेलेवेंट क्लॉज ऑफ फॉर्म 3CD, सिंपल, डोंट कोट द रॉन्ग वन, right or not? Simple, leave it as per the relevant clause of form 3CD. Tell me again now. 11. 11 was, then what was 12? What was 9? Name of partners. What was 10? Nature of business. 2, address. 5, status. 6, previous. 7, assessor. मेरे को पता है 14-15 तक चलेगी गाड़ी. After 14-15 hiccups will come, क्योंकि वो clauses are very difficult to remember actually. 13 क्या है? Method of accounting. What you are asking in this case? In the methods of accounting, what you are asking? Which method of accounting is employed? Are you getting the point? Second thing, any changes with respect to which year? Previous year. And if yes, impact of such changes on your P&L. Right or not? Whether it increased in your profit or decreased in your profit. Next, whether any adjustments you have done according to ICDS. And if you have done the adjustments according to ICDS, then what is the impact of that adjustment on your increase in profit or decrease in profit? And the fourth one is which ICDS you have followed. Please tell me the 6 things you need to understand here. What is the method of your accounting? Any changes? If yes, impact of P&L up or down? Any changes you have done due to ICS? If yes, impact on P&L up or down? Disclosure of your ICDS. 12 clauses, 13 clauses over. 14, method of valuation of your closing stock. Which method you have adopted? Any changes? And if the changes you have done in the method of valuation of impact on P&L either increased or decreased. So tell me up to 14 now. Name, address, PAN, IDT, status, previous year, assessment year. Then under the other 44 ABE wala. Then 8A में if you have gone through 115 bad and obtain, if answer replies no, no need to do anything, replies yes, obtain 10 IA, sorry, IB, IC, ID. उसके बाद 9th one, number of partners and persons in your AOP, and then next one, nature of the business. 11th one, and then 12th is presumptive. 13 is method of accounting. If you, under that, if you have changed, then impact on P&L up and down. If you have used any ICDS and ICS made you change, impact on P&L up and down. Disclosure of such ICDS. And what is the 14th one? Method of valuation of closing stock. If you have changed, again impact on your P&L up or down. Now, 15th, details of capital assets converted into what? Stock in trade. Now, what do you mean by capital asset converted into stock in trade? Matlab, there were so many assets with you, but you, instead of now treating them as your which assets, you want to treat them as now what? So what are the four disclosures you have to make? Point number 1, description of those capital assets, date of acquisition, cost of acquisition, and amount it is at which it is converted into stock in trade. Am I correct? Tell me the 4 things again. Details of capital assets and date of acquisition, cost of acquisition, amount at which it is going to be converted into stock in trade. 16 please. Amount not credited to P&L. What are the amounts which you have not credited to P&L? Items which are falling under what? 28. Credits and duty drawbacks refunds by the appropriate authorities. Escalation claims if accepted by you. Any other incomes and capital receipt. तो एक काम याद कर लो, इसमें ना 2-3 वर्ड याद रख लो बस. Either they may ask you the question on duty drawbacks वाला point. तो जैसे ही आपने ड्यूटी ड्रॉबैक का पॉइंट देखा, बिकॉज इन ऑल द रिमेनिंग 44 क्लॉजेस nowhere you will find the word called what? Duty drawback. That is a trick. In every clause, remember one word. At least what will happen, even if you don't know what to do with that, you can at least mention the clause number now for that. Am I correct or not? Or at least you will come to know that it is a bloody clause of a 43 CD. So what is the clause number 16? They are saying amounts which have not been credited. 28 duty drawbacks. ये याद कर लो दो word, right? What is 17? अब ये वाला इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है क्योंकि इट इज अच्छा ये बताओ ये क्लॉज अपने को मेरे ख्याल से 21 में भी क्रॉस रेफरेंस होगा 21 और 29 में 29 में आई थिंक इट विल क्रॉस रेफर तो दैट्स व्हाट जस्ट नाउ आई टोल्ड यू द रूल इफ द टू क्लॉजेस आर गिविंग द cross reference to each other make sure that in that also you mention below and in the below actual you mention the first one. Now see where the land and building is transferred during the year below the consideration value adopted assessed and accessible by any authority of the state government in compliance to section number 43 CA and 50 C. What do you mean by that? You sold some assets especially land and building below the value which is assessed by the authority which is a state government authority, then in that case what you will do as an auditor, what you have to check, point number 1, details of that property, consideration received, then value assessed or what adopted, whether the provision of 43 CA or 56. अब ध्यान से सुनना ये जो sections है 43 CA and 56 2A that is cross referred to I think the clause number 29. वहां पे जाके अपन पढ़ेंगे क्लॉज नंबर 29 में कि व्हाट आर दिस पर्टिकुलर सेक्शंस. तो प्लीज टेल मी व्हाट वाज 16. लैंड एंड बिल्डिंग हैज बीन ट्रांसफर्ड और सोल्ड बिलो इट्स व्हाट स्टैम्प ड्यूटी वैल्यू और द वैल्यू असेस्ड बाय द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटी. 17 सॉरी 17. 16 के मेथड ऑफ वैल्यूएशन ऑफ converted your capital assets into what? Stock in trade. तो 16 क्या है फिर? Amount of items which are not credited in P&L. तो 17 to 1 बताओ एक बार. Try to. मेरे को भी नहीं आते. Frankly speaking मेरे को भी इसमें एक्सपर्टाइज नहीं है क्योंकि ये बेसिकली टैक्स ऑडिटर्स वालों का काम है. मेरा तो मेन ही प्रैक्टिसिंग मेरा कॉर्पोरेट लॉ अफेयर्स एंड आईपीआर्स में है. So I don't know this thing. This is just because it is introduced in your portion. I am teaching you. मेरे को तो आधे clauses में there are some relevant things which are not in a error. So don't expect me to tell you the technicalities of that. For that you need to ask it to your DT faculty. Am I correct? So tell me 17 to 1. मेरा काम है theoretically to make you ready for this thing. 17 to 1. Land and building sold below. 16 items not credited. 15 capital asset turned into a stock in trade. 14 method of valuation of stock. 13 method of accounting. 12 presumptive. 11 books of accounts. Then what is 10? 9 partners. 8 8A. 7 assessment. 6 previous. 5 status. Understood up to that point? Okay, next one. 18 particulars of what? Depreciation allowed. Next one, description. If the depreciation wala clause will come, these are the things you have to mention. Description of the asset or block of assets, rate of depreciation, actual cost or WDV. What is WDV? Written down value. Now, additions or deductions due to which rules? Senvet rules, due to change in currency rates and due to subsidies, grants and disbursements, and depreciation, how much is allowable and what is the WDV at the end of the year. अब ये वाले clauses में problem बता क्या है? Now from this clause onwards things will go bigger and bigger. फिर अपने को एक वो गंदे गंदे clause आएंगे, snake clauses. 269 SS, 269 ST, 269 TT, वो गंदे गंदे आते हैं. वो 2 लाख से ऊपर के पेमेंट, 20,000 से ऊपर के पेमेंट. आर यू गेटिंग द पॉइंट? वो वाले क्लॉजेस में मेन प्रॉब्लम आती है. तो अप टू क्लॉज नंबर 18 यू हैव टू रिमेंबर लाइक इट एज अ डेप्रिसिएशन वाला क्लॉज. तो टेल मी 16 12 12 12 हाँ फिर समथिंग 11 2 13 13 वो 14 था. मेथड ऑफ देन 12 11 13 14, 15, capital asset into 16, items not credited, 17, plant and machinery sold below the assessed value, and then 18, depreciation. Okay, 19, amounts admissible अंडर सेक्शंस. अब ये लिस्ट ऑफ सेक्शंस है, बस एक बार पढ़ लो, नहीं तो पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है. फर्स्ट और लास्ट को याद कर लो. बिटवीन दिस टू दिस, बिटवीन 32AC टू 35E, फिर भी एक बार पढ़ लेना. ये सारा तुम्हारा पीजीबीपी चैप्टर डाला हुआ है यहाँ पे. 35AC, AD, AB, ABA, 51112131417, पता नहीं 2AA, 2AB, ABB, AC, AD, CCA, CCB, CCC, CCD, कॉफी कैफे डे, 35D, 35DD, DA and what? 35E. Amount debited to P&L, amount admissible as per the provisions of the rules. But आपको verify क्या करना है? What is the point number 1? Main point. As an audit, whether the assessee is what? Eligible to put these expenditures into its P&L account. Second thing, what you have to check? Correctly computed or not. And what is the third you have to check? Fulfills all conditions of availment of what? Deduction. ठीक है? This is what clause number 19. अब बताओ 19 to 1. Try करो. Till the 44 is not coming, try to do it. Amount admissible in the P&L. ठीक है. 8, 18, 17, 16, credited, not credited to P&L. 15, capital assets changed into stock in trade. 14, valuation of closing stock. 13, method of accounting. 12, presumptive. 11, books of accounts. 11, हाँ तो वही द्वार से पूछो, प्रॉब्लम है कोई. 10, then 9, persons and partnerships and members. Next one, 8A वाला वो B बा 8, only 8, and 7, assessment. 6, 2 and 1, so 4, any audits under IDT. 3, चलो 20 करेंगे फिर. Now any sum paid to an employee in the form of what? Bonus or commission for the services rendered. अगर तो आपने उन्हें बोनस पे किया, if you have paid any bonus to your employee, these are the 5 things you have to check. What are the 5 things you have to check? Description of person, bonus amount, expenditure not considered as bonus, description and your what? Remarks. दोबारा से repeat हो गया. Commission में you have to check the voucher number, you have to check the date of commission, name of the employee, amount of commission, description of commission, basis of determination of commission, and what? Remarks. So what is the clause number 20, everyone? In that A, if you are paying a bonus or commission. Tell me the 4 things you are checking in bonus. एक एक दो वर्ड याद कर लो ना. Description of employee, description of bonus, amount of bonus, and in the commission, voucher number, amount of commission, description of commission, method of determination, right, and remarks. Second thing, details of contribution received from the employees for the various funds. मतलब in the clause number A, what happened, sir? Sure ना? You can do the needless things outside, no problem. Sure? क्योंकि मेरे को डिस्टर्ब होता है यहाँ पे, ठीक है ना? Don't dare to break it next time. Okay. Details of contribution received from the employees from the various funds. Now in the clause number A, you are receiving or giving. In the clause number A is what? Outflow. And in the clause number B is what? Inflow. So inflow में आप क्या ले रहे हो? If you are taking any contributions from your employees. Contribution in the name of nature of funds, sum received, due date of payment, actual amount paid, and the actual date of payment to what? Authorities. जैसे हम लोग क्या करते हैं सर, हम लोग EPF लेते हैं ना. EPF में what are the 2 contributions we deduct? Employer contribution and employee contribution. So you are paying or you are getting? and giving it to whom? Authorities. And in the first clause, you are giving them the bonus as well as what? Commission. So basically, this total clause को remember कर लो, employment benefits. What is the name of this clause? Employment and retirement benefits. क्योंकि EPF आपको मिलेगा जाके सीधा retirement पे. Or if you are getting terminated. Am I correct? So please tell me what is 20 to 1. Employee related clause. 19. अभी किया था बस. Amount admissible. Right? 18. Depreciation. 17. Then 16. Items not credited to P&L. 15. 13. Method of accounting. 11. Books of account. 9. And 7. Assessment. 5. 3. The 4. Indirect. Then 6. 8. 8 में 2. 8 and 8A. 8A is relating to a special deductions wala, where you have to obtain 10 IB, IC, ID. Am I correct? If the reply is yes. What is 10? Nature of business. What is 12 then? Presumptive income. Then 18. Then 20. Employee. Then 19. Admissible. तो अभी कितने 21. 21 is relating to इसमें बहुत सारे A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H clauses. इसमें बस एक चीज याद कर लो, अमाउंट डेबिटेड टुवर्ड P&L which were admissible or inadmissible. एक बार पूरी लिस्ट पढ़ लो. It means the moment you will see these things company has debited to its what? P&L. As a tax auditor, you will allow them or disallow them because they all were categorized as a admissible expenditure or inadmissible. Just read the list. What is the list number 1? Capital expenditure, personals, advertisement, political party, clubs, penalties, contractual obligation. TDS inadmissible and inadmissible under 40B, 40BA, interest, salary, bonus, commission, remuneration, basically हम लोग ये चीज करते हैं actual में भी. You know that कि there are some of the things which are allowed under the Companies Act but are disallowed under what? IT Act. जैसे depreciation is one of them. Depreciation as per Companies Act को अपन क्या करते थे? Add back. And we only allow what? Depreciation as per IT Act. So these are also we are going to add back which are they have thought that it is admissible but as per the reality it is what? Inadmissible. The moment you will see these things you have to tell them. अच्छा cash payment में बताओ ना मेरे को एक point. How much cash payments you are allowed now? Allowed more than 10,000 or not allowed? Now see, but what if it is made via check, account D and account pay checks? Then allowed. If not, अच्छा एक ये भी point है. I did the same day transaction with the same people but in 2 different ways. पहला transaction किया 6,000 का cash में, then transaction I did 5,000 in cash में with the same person in a same day. But 2 different invoices are there now. But you are doing it just to escape the provision of what? 10K. Are you getting the point? हाँ कि ना? So see, expenditure exceeding 10,000 to per person per day is allowed or not allowed? मैंने भी वही पूछा, per person per day. Morning 6,000 का एक इनवॉइस किया जिसमें मैंने 6,000 का पेमेंट कर दिया. देन इवनिंग में अगेन 5,000 का इनवॉइस आया, 5,000 का भी पेमेंट कर दिया. Same day to the same person, how much you have paid? 10,000. Is it more than 10,000? 6 plus 5? Yes. So in that case, allowed or disallowed? But will your answer change if it is exactly 4 in the second time? Now disallowed or allowed? Allowed. क्योंकि exactly what? But 2 different days में you did 6. जैसे say for example, today I paid 6,000 and day after tomorrow I paid 8,000 more. Now, so what is the provision where it is this per person per day? ठीक है. Next one, gratuity provisions not allowed, contingent liabilities not allowed, disallowed under 14A relating to expenditures on those incomes which is not a part of what? Total income, and others के case में which are expenditures prohibited by law, payments to the opening creditor, contribution to the unrecognized provident fund, employee fund, and interest on what? Capital borrowed. The list is actually too huge. You just have to read out this list and make sure that the moment you see that a company is debiting these expenditures, you have to quote the clause number what? 21, and you will say that they are allowed or disallowed? Disallowed. So, okay, what is 21 to 1 then? Inadmissible expenditures 20, 19. Employees say inflow and outflow, that was 20. What was 19? Inadmissible, admissible expenditures. What is 18? Depreciation. 17. You are sending what? Land and building sold or transferred below what? Valuation assessed by the state authorities. Next one, 16. Not credited to P&L. 15. Conversion of capital assets into stock in trade. Then 14. Then 13. Method of accounting. Then 12. Then 11. Books. And then the journey is simple. Am I correct? Then 22. Let's do the literally half of this. Interest paid to what? MSME. What is MSME? Micro, small, medium. Amount inadmissible under section 23 of MSME Development Act 2000. Interest paid or payable by the buyer. तो इसका मतलब अगर आप कुछ इंटरेस्ट पे कर रहे हो किसको? MSME को, तो दैट इज अलाउड और डिसेबल, ओ सॉरी डिसअलाउड. डिसअलाउड. तो ये हो गया अपने 22 क्लॉजेस आउट ऑफ व्हाट? 44. अभी तो मेन जर्नी बाद में है. तो 23 पेमेंट्स मेड टू द विच पर्सन, और वो स्पेसिफाइड पर्संस आर व्हाट? रिलेटिव्स. तो इन दिस केस who is the four those specified person in which it is inadmissible? First one is what? Wife, husband, brother, sister, or any other lenient ascendant and lineal descendant. Payment made to the people specified under section 40A to B is disallowed if it is in the opinion of which officer? Assessing officer is either excessive in nature or what? Unreasonable. Then what you need to check in this case? Fair market value of the goods, legitimate needs of business and profession, and benefit what? Derived. जैसे say for example यहाँ पे भी हम लोग ALP की बात कर रहे हैं. What is ALP? Arm's length price. ऐसा प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. There is no problem if your brother or like wife or husband is helping you in making the payment or you are making the payment. But make sure that assessing officer should see the genuinity in this transaction. If he is able to see the genuinity in the transaction in these three ways, what are the three ways? Okay, you bought the goods from your own brother only and you bought it at ALP, arm's length price. Any problem? But if you are doing the favor, assessing officer will allow or disallow. Second thing, legitimate needs of what? Business and profession. You already have a lot of stock in your godown, but still you bought it from your brother, which is overstocking. Now it is looking genuine or ingenuine. But suppose reorder level came, then you ordered it. It was a genuine need of your business and profession. And what is the third thing? Benefit derived. Unnecessarily, if you are buying the things and making the payment, then in that case, it is going to get covered under excessive payments. So what are the two things you should avoid while making the payment to the specified people? It should not be excessive and it should not be what? Unreasonable. That is what is written in the clause number 23. अब बताओ 23 to 1. ट्राई करना है अपने को. नॉट पॉसिबल देन नॉट पॉसिबल, नो प्रॉब्लम. दिस इज नॉट द ओनली चैप्टर विच इज गोइंग टू कम इन ऑडिटिंग एग्जाम ऑब्वियसली. तो यू मे लीव इट ऑल्सो 5 marks इफ इट इज नॉट कंफर्टेबल टू यू. बट बाई गॉड्स ग्रेस अगर क्लिक हो गया, फर्स्ट 23 में आ गया, तो एटलीस्ट समथिंग इज बेटर देन व्हाट? नथिंग. बताओ 23. पेमेंट मेड टू स्पेसिफाई. 22 MSME. 21 inadmissible में so many points are there. 20th, then 19 admissible expenditures. तो 21 क्या था? Inadmissible. तो 19 क्या है? तो 20 क्या था फिर? Employee benefits, bonus and commission. Next one 19 and then 18 depreciation. 17 16 16. Okay, then 15, then 10, then 9, partnership, then 11, books of accounts. Okay, 12, okay, 13, method of valuation. Then 2, and last Last we have done now. Payment made to the which person? Specified person. Then 24. Deemed profits or gains under 32 AC, AB and ABA. No deduction allowed under these sections except these sections allow deduction at the rate of 15% in respect of investments in the new plant and machinery. Say for example, if you are making some expenditures to buy some plant and machinery, if you are making some expenditures to buy some plant and machinery, and that too, that plant and machinery, you are buying it for the which purpose? Manufacturing purpose, and you are investing it on what? New plant and machinery, then deduction is allowed at the rate of what? 15%. So, ये condition पे deduction is allowed, otherwise no deduction is allowed. So, what is the condition you have to fulfill in clause number 14 to get a deduction? Sorry, 24. You are making an expenditure under 32 ACAD allows deduction under section at the rate of what? 15% in respect of investments. You made it in which one? New plant and machinery for a what? Manufacturer. If breach called to be as what? Deemed profit. Matlab, if none of these condition is satisfying, it will be treated as your profit and what you have deducted will be added back to your net profits. That is what section clause number what? 24. So tell me 20 to 24. Employee 21. इंटरेस्ट टू एमएसएमई 22. मेरे को तो खुद याद नहीं है, मैं तो तुमसे पूछ रहा हूँ. 22. फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग 22. 20 तो फिर 21 क्या था? तो फिर 23 क्या है? एंड देन 24. एंड व्हेन इट इज अलाउड and to what extent it is allowed and for whom it is allowed. It is allowed if you are making the investment in plant and machinery or new plant and machinery, and that too at the rate of what? 15%. Are you getting the point? That too at the rate of 15%. And last point is what? For whom? Manufacturer. If breached, will be treated as your what? Deemed to profit. Then okay, ये भी कर सकते हैं, छोटा है. Profit under section 41. Any remissions, cessation of trading liabilities, recovery of already allowed as what? Reduction. जैसे हमारी कई बार bad debt हो जाती है. Are you getting bad debt recovery हो गया या कुछ भी, means any expenditure deduction allowed in any previous year, thereafter the liability was what? Waived off. That is bad debt recovered reversal. And with respect, sorry, ये क्या है? W क्या होता है? Writing of debtors and sale of fixed assets used in what? ऐसा ये क्या था? मैं तो खुद बोल गया भाई, एक बार पढ़ना है एसआर का फुल फॉर्म क्या है? क्लॉज नंबर 25 पढ़ना है एक बार. आई थिंक सो. इनसाइड इट, इज इट गिवन? व्हाट इज इनसाइड कंटेंट? इज इट गिवन? एनीबॉडी हैज? अरे किसी के पास तो बुक होगी. साइंटिफिक रिसर्च. ओके ओके, रीड द फुल सेंटेंस, फुल क्लॉज प्लीज. You didn't take any comma and pause. मेरे को पता ही नहीं चला तूने बोला. प्रॉपर आईसीए का मटेरियल है किसी के पास? हाँ, उसमें से एक बार देना. पासिंग द पास. Amounts deemed to be profits and gains under section 25. Any amount of profit chargeable to tax under 41 and computation. The tax auditor should obtain the list of all amounts chargeable under 47 with the accompanying evidence. He should, in all relevant cases, examine the past record to satisfy himself about the correctness of information provided by the SSC. The tax auditor has to state that the facts chargeable to tax under this section. This information has to be given irrespective of the fact whether the relevant amount has been credited to P&L account or not. The computation of profit chargeable under this clause is altered. The tax auditor should maintain the following in his working paper. ये 41 ही है. Name of the person, amount of income. Okay. So this clause is all about ki there is one expenditure which you have already incurred earlier and you already got some deduction earlier, but later on the authorities which gave you the like expenditure or deduction has waived off that thing. So at that point of time, tax auditor will ask you ki why didn't you add it back? So as a assessee, if you have an evidence ki sir, when I took this exemption and took this deduction, there was a documentary evidence that ki at that point of time deduction was allowed. Later on it got what? Waived off. Then in that case, tax auditor will allow you to deduct the same. It's a very simple thing. Ki if you have done any deductions or if you have taken any expenditure ka debit, you should always support it with the documentary evidence ki why you are taking this debit. If the tax auditor later on wants an information on you because he is doing the current year audit. In the current year, say for example, later on that deduction has been waived off. Let's say for example, you do the scientific research, the contribution. Am I correct? You know that उसमें अपने को 175% and something some 200 कितना है 175 नहीं है अभी शायद 100% is now new provision. Am I correct? So it is allowed to be debited to P&L account. Let's say for example later on they reduce it to 75%. So that the 25% extra which you have already debited, on that the tax auditor may ask you what? Evidence. So you have to tell him that when I was debiting it at that point this was the provision. So this is what they are saying. But if in case you are unable to prove that to the tax auditor at that point of time, then in that case what the tax auditor will do? Will allow or disallow, and will be treated as your which profit? Deemed profit. Is it clear? That was clause number 25. Thank you sir. ठीक है, चलो एक काम करते हैं, कितने क्लॉज हो गए अपने 25 आउट ऑफ व्हाट 44 11 सॉरी 11 नहीं 20 19 मोर टू गो. ठीक है, तो आ जाओ वापस. आफ्टर दैट वी विल स्पेंड अनदर हाफ एन आवर 45 मिनट्स ऑन दिस एंड देन आफ्टर दैट मेरे को फिर बता के जाओ व्हाट यू वांट मोर आफ्टर दिस. 300 सीरीज फेयर इनफ. नेक्स्ट 400 पूरे स्टैंडर्ड चाहिए मतलब. हाँ 700 भी करवा लिया, 600 भी करवा लिया, 500 भी करवा लिया, 400 में तो दो है. इट विल टेक नॉट मोर देन 300 में 315 इज हाईली इंपॉर्टेंट. 315 इज हाईली इंपॉर्टेंट. 300 भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. दैट विल कवर योर चैप्टर कॉल्ड प्लानिंग स्ट्रेटेजी एंड एग्जीक्यूशन. 320 इज ऑल अबाउट मटेरियलिटी. 320 हाउ टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू द असेट्स. चलो ठीक है 300 करेंगे. और सीएफएस ऑडिट उसका 15-20 मिनट्स में हो जाएगा रिवीजन. और हाँ ऑटोमेटेड में इंटरनेशनल फ्रेमवर्क कोसो वगैरह या रियल टाइम एनवायरनमेंट व्हाट इज दैट एंड 3 टाइप्स ऑफ कंट्रोल्स. ओके वो भी हो जाएगा. नेक्स्ट मैं बोल तो रहूंगा हो जाएगा बट वी हैव अ टाइम अप टू 9 ओनली. और बताओ ऐसा देखो टेल मी दैट थिंग विच यू थिंक दैट यू कैन मैनेज. unnecessarily don't answer cover this and cover that also which you think that you can't manage. Forensic fair enough. और हम सारे ही बच गए अब तो. PSU उधर ऑटोमेटेड उधर फोरेंसिक उधर 300 उधर 400 बचा क्या फिर? CFS फोरेंसिक ऑटोमेटेड एंड 300 सीरीज एंड 400 में 402 करवा दूंगा मेन. ओके वो इवैल्यूएशन तो 5 मिनट का ही है. और उसके बाद वील सी इफ समथिंग सम टाइम इज गोइंग टू अलाउ. ठीक है बट आई होप यू गॉट द मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द थिंग्स इनसाइड योर पॉकेट नाउ. चलो टेक अ ब्रेक एंड यस वी आर मीटिंग एट 3:30 राइट नाउ. वी आर मीटिंग एट 3:30. तो मेरे थोड़े शेड्यूल्ड मीटिंग्स हैं. वी आर मीटिंग एट 3:30. 3:30 to 9 हाफ एन आवर काट रहा हूं हाफ एन आवर बढ़ा रहा हूं. ठीक है तो टुडे विल एक्सटेंड इट अप टू व्हाट 9. इज इट फाइन विद यू ऑल? चलो ठीक है डन. थैंक यू सो मच. सी यू गाइस इन आफ्टरनून सेशन.